That's right. Let's effing go. So we're gonna be starting a new stream today, or new trial, not new stream. But before I do that, I have to do something for my niece, and so just bear with me. My niece is 8 year old, and I know she's watching, and I said that I would do this. So I have to do the wheels on the bus go round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round and
Round
round.
and round,
round.
round and
The
round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town.
All right, that's as much as you're getting.
You forgot to do the round and round part, though. All right, one more time from the top. Just kidding.
Nope, you're singing it. I'll do it.
The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town. That's it. That's never gonna happen. Good thing you got it recorded, because
Yeah. Flashbang, I got you. Give me 1 second. I'll look at my phone. Just 1 second. Anyways, so we're going to start a new trial. It is. Don't ask me what it is. I should know this. I literally didn't even prepare myself for this.
this is the Rachelle Waterman trial.
Yeah, you just go ahead and talk.
Yeah, it's just Rachelle Waterman trial.
That's all it is.
That's it.
This is something that happened in Alaska.
Yes, it happened in the fishing village of Craig, Alaska, on the Prince of Wales Island.
What?
Prince of Wales Island in Alaska.
Prince of Wales?
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Craig, Alaska, is on the island of Prince of Wales.
I was caught up on the Prince of Wales part.
Oh.
I meant the Prince of Wales.
Oh, here's my little croissant.
Oh, hey, Zach, Bree told me to tell you to shut up. So I had to put that one in there. And then yeah, we got our little croissants in here.
Poutine.
Ash and I have a baby avocado. What's up?
Baby
hello. Hello, Flashbang. Flashbang, I saw your other message. Give me just a second, and I will look. Is there anybody else that I missed? No. I think there was a redirect earlier. I think it was from Baker. Baker sent me a message and asked if we were streaming today. I literally just now messaged him back. I was like, yeah. But I think there was. So if you are from Baker's stream, thank you so much for being here. What's up, Sticky? Sticky Widget in the house. Yeah, Sticky's gonna take it from here.
All right, and go.
I hope that you do take it from here, because I was supposed to research this all day, and I have literally done everything else but do that, but prepare myself.
Well, I did a little bit.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 8 Mile.
8 Mile.
Oh. Oh, look who it is. I thought she was supposed to be at dinner.
Yeah. Cheers, Mom. We're
okay, Flashman. That's probably the best idea.
Yeah. Just I don't check things. Let me check this.
Aye, Captain. On me way.
Bird says, I feel bad for your dog, Zach. Also, see you trying to. I see you trying to be like me, setting your profile picture as a dog. Reed, your dog looks.
Oh.
How do I say this nicely? It looks like Shantae and Mallard may have gotten hold of it. I'm just kidding. We all have animals here. What is up? Whoever says what is up, awesome people? Not much. My mommy says I'm just too busy scratching my neck, Zach. And apparently I'm getting in a fight. I don't know what I'm getting in a fight for. I'll fight you. Come on, AJ, we'll fight you. This isn't even the dog. This dog died, you dick. So basically what you're saying is Shantae and I really did get a hold of it. Well, anyways, we're gonna go ahead and do this. We're gonna start something else. It is in Alaska. I think the crime happened November 14th, 2004, if I remember correctly. Again, don't quote me on this. I was supposed to do my research today and I did not. But anyways, it's in Alaska. It is an older trial.
It happened Saturday, November 13th, actually.
The 13th? Okay. Hey, I was close. I was close. As we do these older trials, just make sure that you do not put any spoiler alerts in there. If you know the trial, if you cannot help yourself and you just want to go look at the outcome of it, please do not put that in the chat. Because I don't know shit about this trial and I want to keep it that way. I want to keep it just as a juror would hear it. I mean, that's literally why this channel is called Alternate Juror. So if you know about it, you know the outcome, please do not put that in the chat. I am so sorry. And so, other than that, without further ado, let's get this party rolling. Hold on, I have to share screen first. Step 1, share screen.
Good job, Carmen.
Step 2, press play.
This case is about Lori Waterman, and this is a picture of Ms. Waterman. It was taken, it's actually one of the last pictures ever taken of it. It was taken on November 13th, 2004, at a Chamber of Commerce dinner in Craig. It was that night, and 18 hours later, this is Lori Waterman. She's dead and found in the burnt van about 18 hours later. Now, this case is about Lori Waterman and her murder, and about the 3 people who planned and then murdered her. Those people were Brian Riddell, Jason Aarons, and her daughter, Rachelle Waterman. Now, this conspiracy to kill her had its beginnings in the summer of 2004. During that time, Mr. Riddell had a computer shop in Craig. During that summer, he ended up closing it in August of 2004. And several people hung out at the place. Jason Aaron, his friend, he's been a friend for a number of years. Rachelle Waterman, Mr. Riddell had hired her to do some work for him. Mr. Rand also did some work for him as well. Although Ms. Waterman didn't really actually do any work, she was hired to. And there was another individual, John Wilburn, he was a juvenile as well, and they all hung out together. And they didn't do a lot of work, but they did play a number of games. Particularly, they liked to play Dungeons and Dragons, so they spent a lot of time together that summer. Now, during that summer, Ms. Waterman began complaining to them about her mother, Lori. Complained that Lori Waterman was abusing her, that she was hitting her, threw her down some stairs, threatened her with a knife, and complained that she weighed too much and so wasn't feeding her.
Do you guys need me to adjust the volume? I know there's a buzzing
I think
sound.
it sounds fine for me, but
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because in my headphones it's really, really loud, but I want to make sure that it's okay for you guys.
They tried to get her to report this to the police or social services, and she refused to do it, saying that they wouldn't believe her. So at that time, sometime in the summer, I think it was probably July or August, she contacted Mr. she was talking to Mr. Aaron either in person or by chat on the email, or not email, but on the computer. And he asked her for his help. And Mr. Aaron says, well, what do you want me to do? And finally she says she wanted her mother dead. And so Mr. Aaron agreed to help her. He went and asked his friend, Mr. Riddell, for it. Mr. Riddell grew up on Prince of Wales, and his father had taught him survivor skills and military stuff as well. And he was a much bigger individual as well. And so Mr. Aaron asked Mr. Riddell for some help, and asked him to help in planning and killing Ms. Lori Waterman. Mr. Riddell agreed. He said he'd do anything for Mr. Aaron and Ms. Waterman. Ms. Waterman and Mr. Riddell had actually had a relationship earlier that summer. And it was a sexual relationship, but it had ended several months before this. Mr. Aaron and Ms. Waterman also had a sexual relationship afterwards, but it ended around August of 2004. But Mr. Riddell agreed to do it. He believed it was necessary to protect Ms. Waterman, and he'd rather do that than go to police or social services. At that point, Mr. Riddell pretty much took over what was going on. He was the one who came up with the plans, and he was going to be the one who did the killing and stuff. And Mr. Aaron took on the secondary role. His role was to have the ideas bounced off him by Mr. Riddell. He also acted as a go-between between Ms. Waterman and Mr. Riddell, since Ms. Waterman and Mr. Riddell never talked directly about this. They always went through Mr. Aaron. Now, they came up with various plans on how they were going to do it over the several months from that summer, probably around August or so, that they started it, until November when they committed the crime. And they talked about several plans, Mr. Riddell and Mr. Aaron and Ms. Waterman. One of them was a boat tub plan in which they were planning on killing Lori Waterman, putting her body into a tub, filling the tub with cement, taking it out on Mr. Riddell's boat and just dropping it out into the water and let it sink, and she would disappear. Another one was Mr. Riddell would simply break into the house and kill her, and no one would know supposedly who did it. Another one was Mr. Riddell talked about blackmailing her, where they'd find out some damaging information about Lori Waterman and threaten her with this information unless she left Rachelle alone. I also talked about a shooting plan in which Lori Waterman would drive Rachelle to the high school in Craig, drop her off for volleyball practice, which would be in the late afternoon. And as she was driving out of the parking lot and onto the street, she'd be stopped at a stop sign. Mr. Riddell would be across the street hiding in the trees and would shoot right across the street into the front of the car and kill her at that point. The plan actually came fairly close. It got called off at the last minute. Mr. Aaron sent an email to Rachelle Waterman saying that the, quote, hunting trip, unquote, was off. And we've got a copy of the email. Here it is. This is the section we're dealing with. Here's the word hunting trip. And as you can see, it says, how does it go? Not much going on here today. I went down and found Brian so I could chat at him for a bit. Oh, yeah, and he canceled that hunting trip we were planning for today. But he said he'd like to do it sometime soon. No later than a week from now, we can swing it. So that would be fun. This is in September 29th. This was recovered from Ms. Waterman's from the Waterman residence by police. Mr. Arendt and when the police talked with Ms. Waterman both stated that this was a reference to the shooting plot killing her mother. The word hunting trip will also come up a little later in some other letters I'll show you. The actual plan that they worked out.
Yeah, Gabby, this is our flashback answer. This is this is the state's opening.
Yeah, it just felt weird to me. I was like, wait, they're just showing you the PowerPoint right now? What's happening?
Yeah, it is kind of a weird opening statement, especially for the state. Like, that's something I would more expect from like a defense. So it definitely is a weird one.
Yeah.
Finally, to kill Ms. Waterman, is that Ms. Waterman, Lori Waterman, was going to be home alone on the weekend of November 13th and 14th. Rachelle Waterman was going to be in Anchorage that weekend. She was on the high school volleyball team. They went to the state tournament up in Anchorage that weekend. She left Craig on Wednesday, November 10th. And she wasn't supposed to return until Sunday, November 14th. Doc Waterman, Carl Waterman, goes by Doc Waterman, was also going to be gone that weekend. He was up here in Juneau that weekend. He left Craig on Thursday, November 11th, and he was also going to return on Sunday, November 14th, at actually the same time as Rachelle Waterman was going to return. So that meant that Lori Waterman was going to be home in Craig all by herself for the weekend. The plan was that Mr. Riddell would break into the Waterman residence one of the evenings there, and then take her prisoner. He would force her to drink alcohol and get drunk, and then he would kill her by breaking her neck in some manner. And then he would place the body in the Waterman van, and they would take it out to a location and crash it. So it looked like she died in a DWI accident, that she was drunk, she drove, crashed, and that's what broke her neck. And so it would hide what happened in this case, that it wasn't a murder, it was an accident. Now, the night of November 13th, Saturday night, Ms. Waterman, as I said, went to the Chamber of Commerce there in Craig.
Ruh-roh. Did you lose your battery?
You got it? I don't know why.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
But I don't know why it paused there.
She went by herself. At the dinner, she won a jacket and left at about 10 o'clock p.m. that night. She left at the closing when a number of other people had finished cleaning up. She helped clean up, and then they all left at about 10 o'clock that night. About 4 or 5 people did. And this is a picture I showed you earlier, Ms. Waterman at the dinner. Here she is also eating and stuff. And then, while she was doing that, Mr. Riddell and Mr. Aaron were beginning preparations on that Saturday. They had to go out and get a few items that they needed. Mr. Riddell already had some rope he was going to use. He found it along the roadside, and so he decided to use it. It was an old piece of rope. They purchased some items in Craig and Cloak that Saturday afternoon that they were going to need that night. They purchased a hat, smoking hat. They purchased some rubber gloves that Mr. Riddell was going to wear so he wouldn't leave any fingerprints behind. They also got some duct tape, so he was going to wrap Lori Waterman's hands around with it as bindings. He also bought some towels. He was going to put the towels on her arm. Then when he put the duct tape on, he wouldn't leave any adhesives on, so there wouldn't be any trace evidence of adhesions on her arm. They got a bottle of wine, so that he could force the alcohol in her and force her to get drunk. They also got some gasoline in case they needed it. They didn't know how much gasoline would be in the Waterman van, and they planned on driving. The location that they had picked was a long distance away. It's about an hour drive outside of Craig, so they brought along some gasoline as well. They also cut off Mr. Riddell's hair. He had real long hair, a full beard and stuff, and they cut all of it off. So he wouldn't leave any trace evidence. He wouldn't leave any of his hair around in the residence when he broke in. Here's a picture of Mr. Riddell. This was taken on November 15th or November 17th, about 3.5 days later. As you can see, he's fairly bald. Police also recovered his hair. You can see quite a bit of the hair, how much they had to cut off to do it. Now, Mr. Arendt and Mr. Riddell were at Mr. Riddell's residence in Hollis, which is in Craig on the east coast of Prince of Wales Island. Craig's on the west coast. They were at that residence on Saturday night. They left the residence in Mr. Arendt's truck and drove to Craig. They left Hollis about midnight, got to Craig probably around 12:30. It's about a half-hour drive on that Saturday night. Actually, this would have been Sunday morning since it was after midnight. Mr. Arendt dropped off Mr. Riddell at the boat harbor in Craig, which is about a couple blocks away from the Waterman residence. And he just let Mr. Riddell off at that point. Mr. Arendt then drove to a gravel pit that's just north of Cloak and waited there. He was going to wait a couple of hours until Mr. Riddell came and met him in the Waterman van with Lori Waterman. Meanwhile, Mr. Riddell walked up to the Waterman residence. He broke into it. Here's a map of Prince of Wales Island. This is actually only the center part of the island. The island is actually fairly large. It's the third largest island in the United States. This is the center approximately about the center third of the island. But here's Hollis, where Mr. Riddell was living at, and here's Craig, so they had to drive across the island. Here's Clawonk, it's about 8 miles north of Craig, maybe 10 miles. And then here's the gravel pit where Mr. Aaron waited for Mr. Riddell. Here's a picture of that gravel pit. Now, this is the first floor of the Waterman residence. It's the ground floor. There's 3 floors on it. And this area is the garage. It's a 2-car garage. The large yellow area in it is the where the van was parked at. They parked it at. Here's a downstairs bedroom. Here's where the family room and a bathroom was located. Here's where the front door was at. It's actually elevated a little bit. It's between the ground floor and the second floor or main floor of the residence. But here's the stairs. Now, Mr. Riddell entered through an unlocked garage window over here on the side of the building. Here's the front of the house. You can see the front of it, and you can see where the 2-car garage is. And here's where he entered at, the side of the garage. There's a window up near the front part of the garage. He entered through here. The police later discovered a footprint, which has consistencies with the boot that belonged to Mr. Riddell. Here's the inside of the garage, and here's the window where he entered into. He got in and he went up to the door from the garage into the main part of the house, and it was locked. So there's a little pet door on it. He reached in and reached up around and was able to then unlock the door and get in that way. Now, here's the door from the garage into the main part of the house, and here's the pet door. Here's the other side of the door. Here's the pet door right here that he reached through, and I'm sure you can see very well, but this is where the doorknob is. The police had removed it. They checked to see if there were any fingerprints on it. And he reached up, and that's how he was able to get in, was unlock the door and come in that way. This is the second floor, this is the ground floor still. He went in, he checked the downstairs. He'd only been to the residence once, and he had only come into the to the front door, so he hadn't been into the rest of the house. So he checked the downstairs, nobody was there. He then went up to the second floor. This is the second floor of the residence, and this is where the Waterman's bedroom was at. Here's where another bedroom was located. Here's where a computer room was at, and here's where the kitchen was at, and here's the living room. Now he checked the second floor, or here's the stairs as well. He checked the second floor, there wasn't anybody there, so then he went up the stairs to the third floor. This is the top floor. It consists of basically 2 rooms and the bathroom. Here's the stairs, he came up. Here's where an exercise room is located at, and there's a bathroom in the area, and here's where the master bedroom is located at. This is where Lori Waterman was at when he came in the residence. Now he came up the stairs here. When he did, Lori Waterman was actually awake, and when he came up the stairs, she got up off the bed and went and closed the door. Apparently she didn't see him or anything, but she came up and closed the door. And Mr. Riddell went in, hid in the exercise room. He waited there for over an hour, approximately an hour, or a little over an hour, for Lori Waterman to get to sleep. Here's the master bedroom, and here's the exercise room where he waited for about an hour. Now, after she was asleep and he waited for about an hour, he then went into the bedroom, snuck into the bedroom, and then jumped on top of Lori Waterman. She struggled for a short time, 5 minutes or so, and then finally she stopped struggling. When she did that, he then got her up, put restraints on her. He then had to remove them so that she could get dressed because she was in a nightgown. Then she put clothes on her. He put the restraints, he put the towels around her first and then put the duct tape on her. He then tied a rope on her arms as well to help hold her and direct and tell her where to go. Sometime during this struggle, he was wearing, as I told you, he got rubber gloves, and during the time he was in there, he wore rubber gloves. Sometime while he was in the bedroom there, struggling with her for a short time, and then putting the ropes and binding stuff on, the tip of the rubber glove got torn off. And he looked for it, and he couldn't find it in the bedroom. So he left. He then took Ms. Lori Waterman down to the kitchen. There was actually a open bottle of wine in there, and he forced her to drink the bottle of wine, so he didn't have to use the one that he brought in himself. And he left that empty bottle of wine then in the residence, and it was found there, although it had been thrown out by the time the police ended up checking the place several days later. He forced her to drink the alcohol and got her drunk. He then put her in the van. He tied her up in the van. It was between the front seat and the middle row of the van. He put her on the floor, tied her down there. And then he drove out. He opened the garage door, drove out, and then closed the garage door, and then drove away. He then drove up to north of Cloac, where he met Mr. Arendt. Mr. Arendt was actually driving back towards town to see.
The squids? Yeah, they did. What's up, squid?
You didn't see me put that up? I said, hey, Squidnators.
No. No, I didn't. I just hit a different button hey, I hope you're feeling the freaking burn today, because I did my workout this morning. I told you I would. So I hope you're feeling the burn just as much as I am every time I stand up. But thank you so much, Squid, for redirecting. I really appreciate it. You are such a sweetheart. If you guys are on our channel and don't know Squid's channel, please go over to Squid's channel, give her a like, give her a subscribe, become a member, do all that shit. Because Squid is an absolute freaking sweetheart, and absolutely love when you guys come in here. Like it makes my day when you guys come in here. So we're watching a trial from 2004 right now. It happened in Alaska. It's one of the very few trials that Alaska has actually streamed, broadcasted, televised, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, we're just getting into opening statements. We just started this I don't know, 28 minutes ago. And so we're just now getting into it. As Gabby put on the banner, if you do know this trial, please don't put any spoilers in the chat, because most of us are watching it as this plays out. Right now, we're getting through the boring part, but we will keep on rolling. Baker, I saw that you also redirected earlier. Thank you so much. So thank you, Baker, and Squid. Thank you guys so much for redirecting. We really, really appreciate it. And as I always say, give them hell in the chat. Give those mods some hell, because it's fun.
If he could see what was going on or find out anything. And he passed the van as it was coming in. He recognized the van. It was like a dark purple. It was fairly noticeable, the van. And he then turned around and then followed Mr. Riddell. They then drove to the site where they had planned on killing her and setting up the van to crash in. And Mr. Arendt followed the van all the way up there. The site was about an hour north of Craig, so it's a fairly long drive. And the plan, as I said, was to drive the van off the embankment, off the side of the road after they had killed her and put her body in, so it looked like a DWI accident. Now, here's the map I've shown you earlier. Here's Craig. Here's Cloac. Here's where the gravel pit where Mr. Arendt was waiting. And here's the location where Lori Waterman was killed. It's a long drive. It's almost an hour. It's up near a small community called Knockabee. It's just about a couple miles outside of the community. There's only a few. There's not very many people that are there. Less than 100 people. But that's the site that they had chosen. Here's a picture of it. It's just before you get to the bridge. This is the side of the road. This is where they pulled off, and this is where he actually killed her at. Here's the view turning 180 degrees and looking back, standing with the back towards the bridge. Here's the area where they were planning on killing her. And you can see where the trooper car is parked up at the top of the road. This is the embankment where they intended to drive the van off the side of the road there and crash it after they had put her body in it. Excuse me. Now, Mr. Riddell, as I stated, I showed you in the picture, he stopped the van at the side of the road there, and Mr. Arendt, I think, pulled in and stopped behind him. Mr. Riddell put a large plastic garbage bag on the ground so that Lori Waterman wouldn't get dirty, so it wouldn't look suspicious if she was all dirty when they put her back in the van. It was also rainy and kind of windy that night too. Mr. Riddell then pulled Lori Waterman from the van. He put her on the bag. He had her in a kneeling position. She was real drunk at this time. He said she really didn't say much. He then tried to break her neck like you've seen on TV. He first tried to have her pull her head back and forth real hard to like a whiplashing. That didn't work. He then tried to literally twist her head all the way around and got pretty far around, but he still wasn't able to break her neck. He then used a small red flashlight that Mr. Arendt had in his truck. It wasn't like the usual one you see. It was kind of a squarish one. I'll show you a picture later. Mr. Riddell got that and then started pounding her in the throat with it. He hit her at least a dozen times in the throat with her, trying to break her throat that way. And that still didn't kill her. He then put his hands on her, over her mouth and her nose, and held it on there probably for about 5 minutes, ended up actually suffocating her. And then that actually ended up killing her. That stopped her from breathing. So it took a while for them to actually kill her. They then had to dispose of the body. As I said, they were going to try to use the DWI plan, but they weren't able to do it at this time. While they were doing all this, killing her, trying to kill her and doing this stuff, she ended up falling off of the plastic bag and getting a lot of mud all over her clothes. So they figured that plan wouldn't work because they'd see when they find the body, they'd find dirt and mud all over it. Her throat was also pretty badly damaged from him being hit with the flashlight. So they decided that they needed to change the plan at that point. They couldn't go through with the DWI plan anymore. They then had their plan was that they had been out at another area on Prince of Wales Island. It's called U.S. Forest Service Road 3012. It's an old logging road. It's open, but it's not maintained. People who generally go back in there are hunters, and it's a fairly isolated area. They'd been up there in the past, and they decided that would be a good spot to get rid of the van and Ms. Waterman, and they planned on at that point just to set it on fire and burn everything up. Now, they put the body, Mr. Riddell and Mr. Arendt picked the body up and put it back in the van in the same area where he had originally tied her, which was between the front seat and the middle row on the floor. And he put her body in the van there. Mr. Riddell then drove the van. Mr. Arendt followed in the truck, and they drove to Road 3012. Now, here's, again, the map I've shown you. Here's the site where they killed her. Here's where they actually brought the van to, and this area here is where U.S. Forest Service Road 3012 is. It's just before you get to Thorn Bay. The main road goes to Thorn Bay, and this is one of the logging roads that come off of the main road there. So they went to that location. And when they got there, it was a difficult drive because it's a real steep climb up there. And he parked on an incline up at the top with the front pointed downward, and he put a rock there, and the plan was to set the van on fire and then push it down the side of the hillside there. When they did, they rolled out the front windows, they rolled them down, the hatch back, they opened the back up so it would be opened up and ventilated. He then put a number of items in the van. He put the keys to the van, he left them in the ignition. He put the bottle of wine that they had bought, which they didn't use, put that in the van too. He then poured gasoline inside the van on her body and inside the van. And then just as they were getting ready to start it, suddenly the van just rolled down the hill before he got it started. Mr. Riddell then set fire to the van. He tried pouring some gas to put a gas trail up to the top of the hill and lighting it, and it didn't work, probably because it was too wet. It was, as I said, rainy and kind of stormy that night. So he got a bunch of paper towels and he lit them and then threw them in the back of the open hatch of the van, and the van caught fire that way. And then the two of them drove away in Mr. Arendt's truck. Now, this is an aerial view that was taken of the scene. Person at the crime lab drew the lines around it so you could see the area of the logging road. They go up to two log gathering sites nearby. Here you can see where our trooper car is located. There's a turnout there. Here's where a bunch of logs are still located at, and here's where the van is located. And you can see it's off the road. It's down the side of a hillside. Here's the road going up to it, and you can see it's fairly steep area going up to it. And here's the van that was as it was recovered. And as you can see, it went down the hillside there. You can see part of the logging road, it doubles back. And that's how you get up to it, is through that road there.
They took a different meaning to a hillside view there. Hold on. Where did it go? Are you really? You from Indiana? You Hoosier too? Who's yours? And I think I knew that. I think that I knew that you're originally from Kokomo. Please tell me that you're not a Purdue fan. Even though most of my family isn't Purdue fans, but a lot of them did graduate from there. My partner graduated from there. But everybody that's sticking around, thank you so much for doing that. You're not a Purdue fan? Okay. You can stay. Thank you. No, I will not stalk you in real life. You're a Notre Dame fan. I'm pretty sure Notre Dame just got their ass whooped. I am just saying. Just saying. All right, and I'm gonna press play.
Now, they also had some other evidence that they wanted to get rid of. And so they drove to a location near Hollis. It's on just off the Harris River. Harris River goes right by Hollis. And they drove to that location. And they burned some of the items that Mr. Riddell had used. He had the cap he didn't burn. It's a mistake, but he burnt the rope. There was some duct tape, the towels, and the rubber gloves. He all put into a fire. I think they put some gas on it, and they set it on fire. The two of them drove back to Mr. Riddell's residence in Hollis, and Mr. Rant then drove home to Klawock. Now, here's the map I've shown you. Here's the site where the van was burnt. Here's Hollis, and the site is just where they burnt the items were located outside of the town. Now, we know about all these sites because Mr. Aaron took the police to all of them afterwards and showed them where all these sites were. Here's the site where they burnt the stuff at. Here's the burnt items that the troopers recovered. And here's the items, close-up of the items that were there that were recovered. Now, Road 3012 is an isolated area, but it's actually a fairly popular hunting area. And so that morning, Sunday morning, there were several hunters in the area. Must have been 4 or 5 hunters in the area, but one of them was Scott McDonald, and he was up there hunting in the area, and he saw some smoke coming from a van up in that area. So he went and checked, and he went in and he saw the body in there, the burnt body of Lori Waterman. At that time, he didn't know who the van was. You could tell from the picture I showed earlier that it's impossible to even tell what the color of the van was. You could tell it was a van, but you couldn't tell anything more about it. So he went up and he saw the van, and he saw the body in the back of the van there between the front seat and the middle seat. So he then went and contacted the troopers. Actually, what he did is he went to a location where his cell phone works, and he calls his mother, who's in Thorn Bay. Thorn Bay is right outside, not too far away. His mother actually handles emergency responses in the Thorn Bay area. So he called her, and she called the troopers, and the troopers were notified about it, and reporting that Scott had found this burnt van and a body in it. The two troopers, Trooper Claus and Trooper Taylor, went out to that road area. And when they went out to the main road, met Scott McDonald, and Scott McDonald drove them up, and they went up to the location where the van was at. And then Trooper Claus saw the burnt and dead body in the back of the van. Here's, as I've shown you, the body. Now, Trooper Claus believed it was pretty suspicious looking. The body was not located in the driver's seat. It was located in the back area, which indicated that somebody put her there and then set it on fire. And so he believed that there was a suspicious fire. So he called for some help. He's just a local trooper, and so he called for help on handling what could be an arson, a murder, or something of that nature. But it was a suspicious circumstance, so he asked for some help. He also couldn't identify the van at that time. He looked for the license plate. The fire was so hot that it melted both license plates. He looked for the VIN number, but the dash area had been so melted that it was just a bunch of mess stuff, and he didn't want to dig through it to see if it located the VIN, so he didn't know who the van belonged to or who the body was at that point. So he contacted some help. Investigators were contacted that Sunday and were asked to come down to Prince of Wales to handle the investigation. The Alaska State Troopers Bureau of Investigation, Sergeant Randy McFerrin's there, was put in charge of it. He handles homicide investigations, and so he was put in charge of it. Crime lab individual Dale Bivens, he does crime scene investigations. He also does fingerprint analysis. They also sent a Deputy Fire Marshal, John Bond, down because it was a burnt van and there's a dead body in it. So they also brought an arson investigator down. The investigators flew from Anchorage that Sunday night. They overnighted here in Juneau on Sunday night and then flew down Monday morning to the scene there. And basically nothing happened for the rest of that until Monday, actually around noon on Monday. The site there was just cordoned off, people were kept away, and nothing else was done to investigate it that night. Now, meanwhile, Doc Waterman and Rachelle Waterman returned to Craig on Sunday. Rachelle Waterman flew from Anchorage, where she was at the volleyball tournament. She left from Anchorage and then flew to Ketchikan. Doc Waterman got on the same flight when it stopped here in Juneau, and so the two of them were on the same flight. They then, while he was in Juneau and then coming home, he called home several times to let Lori Waterman know that he was coming home. There was no answer. He left a couple of messages on the answering machine. Once they got to Ketchikan, they flew from Ketchikan to Hollis on float planes. Actually, they flew on separate float planes, but they flew to the Hollis together in the float planes. And from there, Doc Waterman drove Rachelle Waterman back to Craig. They arrived sometime that Sunday afternoon. When they got there, Lori Waterman and her van weren't there. Doc Waterman didn't think anything of it right then, but after several hours, she didn't show. And so he got concerned. He went in around and drove around for a little bit, couldn't find the van. That evening, he called the Craig Police, and it was about 9 o'clock that night. He called the Craig Police Department and reported that the lorry was missing and the van was missing. The police then contacted Trooper Claus, and told him that Lori Waterman and the van were missing. And this was probably about 10 o'clock that night. And so Trooper Claus suspected this might be Lori Waterman. So the next morning, it said Monday morning, the investigators flew from Juneau. They flew to Ketchikan. In Ketchikan, they took a float plane over to the area. They actually flew over the area and took some photographs of the area. You saw one of their photographs earlier. And then they flew into Thorn Bay. And they were driven from Thorn Bay up to the site where the van was at. The body and the debris around the body were removed, placed in a body bag, and that was sent to the medical examiner's office in Anchorage for examination. The van was towed from the scene. After they did most of the investigations, they towed it away and took it into the DOT, Department of Transportation garage in Quad. They did get some other items at the location. They found a lot of items they found. Most of them didn't have any significance, but they did find a few items. They found what appeared to be a gas trail coming up to the top of the hill from the van. And they see several items like some plants and rocks in the area to check to see if there was gas. They found in the van a melted bottle, like a wine bottle. They found the keys were in there. They also found that the windows had been rolled down and that the back window on the hatch had been left up. They were able to determine all of this by looking at the van. They did locate the VIN number. It was in a bunch of the materials down where the dash had been at, and they checked the VIN number, and it was the Waterman vehicle. It was the Waterman vehicle VIN number. So at that point, they knew it was the Waterman vehicle, and they figured it was Lori Waterman's body at that point. But they didn't have a positive ID. Positive ID on the body was done by a forensic dentist. They got dental records from her dentist in Craig, sent them up, and a forensic dentist with the medical examiner's office examined the teeth remains against Lori Waterman's dental records, and they matched, so it was Ms. Waterman's body. Here's the van. A closer up a view of the van. Here's the top. I'm going to show you on the top up there. You can see glass, and that's how they were able to determine that the hatch window was open, because The van was at an angle, the fire was hot, and the glass just blew forward on it. The arson person will talk to you about that. Inside, you can see everything was melted virtually except for the metal stuff, like the metal frames of the seat. You look at the back through the van, so you can see it was a very, very hot fire. And the fire was started and was mostly contained on the inside of the van, indicating that gasoline or an accelerant was poured inside the van, and started on the inside. In other words, it didn't start with the engine or on the outside of the van. It was started inside the body of the van, inside. Here's where the fire was so hot it blew part of the hatch, the pistons on the part of the hatch that holds it up. Here's the key you can see that was in the ignition. Here's the part of the wine bottle. There's a few other items that were recovered. Now, once they determined that it was the Waterman van, and they then focused on the Waterman residence. They found out that it was a Waterman van early afternoon on Monday. The troopers contacted Chief C and let him know that the van had been identified as a Waterman van, and that the body was probably Lori Waterman's body. Chief C then went to the Waterman residence. He's the one who contacted Doc Waterman, told him about the information about the van being found, and that Lori Waterman was probably the body that was found inside it. When he was there, Doc Waterman told him that he found some suspicious items in the bedroom. They were the tip of a rubber glove, and there was some of this strange fiber that he found inside the residence, and he showed them to Chief C. Chief C immediately figured that this had something to do with Lori Waterman's disappearance. He asked Doc Waterman and Rachelle Waterman to leave the residence so that they could do some investigations. They did, and the house was then kept. Nobody else was allowed in except for the police to do investigations for the next 2 days. Doc Waterman and Rachelle Waterman moved next door to the Pierces and stayed there. Chief C then told the troopers about the things he found in it, and as I said, the police guarded the place while the scene was investigated later that night and then the next day. Now, the people that did the investigations at the house were Sergeant McFerrin, Craig Police Officer Sergeant Mark Habib, Chief Jim C., and Dale Bivens from the crime lab. They went and examined the house. They recovered a number of items. They recovered a rubber glove tip. They recovered numerous fibers, like from a rope, in several locations. The upstairs bedroom had a number of them on the floor. There was one found on the stairs going down, and a number of them were found at the doorway where the door goes into the garage area. They found a number of them there. They also found clothes that Lori Waterman had worn to the Chamber of Commerce dinner. They had seen the pictures we had seen. The police had gotten those, so they knew what clothes she was wearing. They wanted to see if she had gotten home that night, and the clothes showed that since they were in there, they were hung up in the bedroom and stuff. There was a program from from the dinner as well, and then the jacket she'd worn at the dinner, they had all recovered from the residence, which showed she got home that night and when she left there at about 10 o'clock. Now here you can see the glove tip that was recovered, and here you can see the fiber that Doc Waterman recovered. He put them on these mirrors here, this mirror. The ruler was the investigators put that on to give you a scale. Now, these items here, the police put these pieces of white paper under the fibers where they found them, so they would see where they were at, and it would also stand out. And you can see a number of them were found by the bed from like an old rope. It actually turned out to be that the rope Mr. Riddell got and used was old, and it shed some of the fibers off of it, so that's what these were from. Here's one of the fibers you can see in this picture. Here's the garage door. You can see where the pet door was at. This is in the garage. The little arrows show where some of the fibers were okay. Now, they also found a footprint in the garage window. After they had ended up interviewing Mr. Riddell and they told him how he got in and stuff, they went and looked at the house again, and Sergeant Habib looked at the window, and he found a footprint on the window. He also found on the ground outside the window a spark plug box. It didn't look like it had been there very long. And on the inside of the window, on top of a metal case by the window, there were several other the same type of box of spark plugs up there. Here's the window. Here's where the spark plug is. You can see it down there where the red is at. Here's a close-up of it. And inside you can see a couple of the spark plug boxes there, the yellow ones on the right side. Now, Trooper Claus began to suspect fairly early on, Monday or so, that Mr. Aran and Mr. Riddell may have had something to do with killing Lori Waterman. Now, once the van was identified as Lori Waterman's van, which was Monday afternoon. Now, Trooper Claus has been living in Prince of Wales Island for about 12 years. He knows the Waterman family fairly well. He knew Lori Waterman and Doc Waterman. He has two daughters. They're about the same age as Rachelle Waterman. Rachelle had been over to his house. His daughters had been over to her house. They were friends. In fact, his daughter had dated Rachelle Waterman's older brother, Jeffrey, at one time. So he knew the family real well. And he knew that there was friction in the family because of Jason Arendt, that Rachelle had dated Jason earlier that year when she was 15 and then turned 16. She turned 16, I think it was in August that year. And Mr. Arendt was 24 years old. Lori Waterman didn't want to have them dating, and this had caused friction between Lori Waterman and Rachelle Waterman. And so Trooper Claus at that point began as a possible suspect, Mr. Arendt. And he knew that Mr. Arendt probably wouldn't have been able to do this, his personality, but he did know that Mr. Riddell was Mr. Arendt's best friend, and he would do virtually anything for Mr. Arendt, and he thought Mr. Riddell would be capable of killing someone. So he had these suspicions in his mind. In addition, when the police began contacting these people and they saw Mr. Riddell, they saw all of his hair shaved off. I mean, he stood out like a sore thumb at that point with all of his hair gone. He'd always been running around with this real long hair and beard, and then suddenly it's all shaved off. So the police began fairly early on, Monday, Tuesday, particularly when they saw Mr. Riddell on Tuesday, that these people were probably involved in this. The police interviewed Mr. Arendt and Mr. Riddell several times beginning Tuesday, November 5th or 16th, all the way until Friday, November 19th. They initially denied having any involvement or any knowledge of what happened with Lori Waterman. On Wednesday, the police got called to the Clark Police Department, troopers did, because there was a report of an assault. It was Wednesday about 5 p.m. That someone had attacked Mr. Arendt at the Clark school. Sergeant McFerrin and Trooper Claus responded to it. Mr. Arendt had a scratch on his neck from one side to the other side, and he claimed that some masked man had put a knife to his throat, rubbed it on his throat, threatening him, saying, quote, "Stay away from Rachelle or another accident will happen," unquote. Now, the troopers didn't believe it. They thought that he had faked it to throw suspicion off of it. And in fact, that's what happened. He did fake it to throw suspicion off him. Mr. Arendt later told them. But they didn't believe it. They checked the area out. They found nothing, checked people in the area, and nobody saw anything. I mean, it was clear to them that this was a fake. And that only heightened their suspicion about Mr. Arendt and Mr. Riddell. Now, on Thursday, November 18th, the police were interviewing Mr. Arendt. He initially denied knowing anything, and then suddenly he told the police that Mr. Riddell had killed Lori Waterman. He didn't give him the whole story. He altered it some. He said that Mr. Riddell had asked him to meet him at a location. He then went to the location and met Mr. Riddell, who was driving Ms. Waterman's van. Lori Waterman was in it, was already dead. And they drove to the site where Mr. Riddell burnt the van and Lori's body, and he had no involvement. He agreed to wear a wire and talk with Mr. Riddell, and he did. That same day, they got a warrant to allow him to do this. They put a wire on Mr. Arendt. The two of them, Mr. Arendt drove out to Hollis, contacted Mr. Riddell. They got into Mr. Arendt's truck and they drove around. And Mr. Riddell made some admissions about his involvement in her death, and he also implicated Mr. Arendt in this conversation. Mr. Riddell was arrested that same day. That evening was on a warrant. He then talked to the police that day, and the same day fully confessed to killing her, confessed about what he did to get in, and the whole description I've given is what he described to the police. Mr. Arendt was arrested the next day, Friday morning. He also talked with the police. He also fully confessed about what happened. He also showed him the sites where the sites where I showed you at. He showed them all of them, taking them out there and where the evidence was at, where Lori Waterman had been killed, where the evidence had been disposed of. They both have pled guilty to murder first degree. They're awaiting sentencing, and they're expected to testify in this case. Now, a number of the items were recovered were sent to the crime lab to see if the statements that Mr. Riddell and Mr. Aaron give to the police and what they'll testify to is corroborated by the physical evidence. They took that little red flashlight that I told you and that had been used to smash her throat with. They sent it to the crime lab. The DNA was found on it. Lori Waterman's DNA was found on it. Mr. Riddell's DNA was found on it. They took the rock and the glass that they had smelled gas. It smelled like gasoline on it. It was all sent to the crime lab. Gasoline was detected on it, corroborating the fact that their description of pouring a gas trail up was done. The footprints Mr. Riddell told them where he entered in. That's the footprint I showed you a picture of. They compared it to Mr. Riddell's shoe, his boot, and the boot was consistent with that impression of his boot. And the autopsy was done on Ms. Waterman's body. The body was badly damaged. It was difficult to determine anything from it. They have determined that her death was a homicide. They tried to do some tests, for instance, see what her blood alcohol level was, but the fire burnt up, destroyed whatever alcohol was in her body, and things of that nature. They did determine she didn't have any drugs in her, but they couldn't determine whether she had any alcohol. But they did determine that her manner of death was a homicide. Here's a photograph taken through the window of Mr. Aaron's truck. I think it's by Trooper Claus. And here you can see a picture of a red flashlight. At the time the police took this, they didn't realize what the significance of it was. It wasn't until after they talked with the two of them that they knew the significance of it. And here's the up-close photo of it. This is the one that had Lori Waterman's DNA as well as Mr. Riddell's DNA on it, and it's one that was used to kill her with. Here's some of the grass that was seized that had the gas trail on it. Here's a footprint I've shown you earlier. They compared it to this photo of Mr. Riddell holding his boots up. The police at this time didn't know that Mr. Riddell, he hadn't confessed by this point, so they didn't seize his boots. By the time he had confessed, he had melted the bottom of his boots because he figured that the police might try to seize him, so he melted the bottom of his boots, so no comparison could be made. So the comparison was made off using these photographs here that the troopers took. Now, Rachelle Waterman got arrested in this case. One of the things that led it to us, one of them, first of all, was the DWI plan that was being given, that Mr. Riddell and Mr. Aaron had set up. That they were going to get her drunk, break her neck, put her in the van, and crash the van, so it looked like a DWI accident. Well, when Ms. Waterman gave that as an explanation Monday, she talked with the school counselor, Sheila Beersley, because she was upset. This was Monday. This was even before the troopers had identified the van, found the VIN number and identified it. So, what she told Ms. Beersley is that when they returned home, they found an empty wine bottle, and they thought that Lori Waterman had gotten drunk, drove somewhere, and got into an accident. Now, this was the DWI plan that Mr. Aaron and Mr. Riddell had planned. She was talking about it on Monday, and Mr. Aaron will testify that he hadn't told her the plan, what had ended up happening in this situation. So she was talking about the DWI plan the next day, describing why they thought that Lori Waterman was gone. During the interview with Sergeant McFerrin and Trooper Claus, Ms. Rachelle Waterman was interviewed 3 times. One was a brief interview on Monday. There was a 2-hour interview on Wednesday, and there was another 2-hour interview on Friday. On the interview during Wednesday, Rachelle gave a false alibi for Mr. Aaron. The false alibi was that she had called and talked to Jason Aaron at his residence Saturday night, well, actually Sunday morning, about 1 o'clock in the morning. The police knew this wasn't true. They talked with Mr. Riddell and Mr. Aaron. They said the two of them were together. They said they were at Mr. Riddell's house, but he was not at his house. And when they confronted Ms. Waterman at it, she admitted that she had lied about it. And she hadn't talked to him Saturday night or Sunday morning. So she tried to give him a false alibi. In addition, Mr. Aaron and Mr. Riddell implicated Rachelle Waterman. So the troopers conducted, as I said, 3 interviews of Rachelle Waterman. The first interview occurred Monday, November 15th. I think it was at the Pierce's residence. In the evening, shortly after the van had been identified, actually, I think it was sometime after the van had been identified, but it was in the evening. I think after when they went up there to begin their crime scene investigation, I think it was probably 8 or 9 that night. At the Pierce's residence, Sergeant McFerrin and Trooper Claus talked with her. She told them about her whereabouts that weekend. She was up in Anchorage. She said that she would return Sunday afternoon with Doc Waterman. As far as she knew, that Lori Waterman had no enemies. She said that the only disagreement that she knows Ms. Waterman had was with some guy who worked for a cable TV company, but everybody liked her. She did talk about her and Mr. Aaron's relationship, but she said there were no problems between her and Lori Waterman. Now, Sergeant, can you, 1.2? Now, here's what she talked about when she was asked about any problems. Turn the volume up.
I don't have any boyfriend. She doesn't like that I hang out with other people, but Judy and Eric. Just because I work with him over the summer and he's older, and my mom doesn't like that I talk to him sometimes. No, she just doesn't like the fact that I'm talking to an older man, like we chat online.
Okay. So they didn't get very much out of this interview. There were any problems. She didn't know who might be involved in her mother's death. They did a second interview of Rachelle Waterman. It was on Wednesday, November 17th. It was in the evening. I think it was like from 7 at night to 9 in the morning. At the Craig Police Department, they actually went up to the Waterman residence. By that time, the police had been finished with it and been returned to Doc Waterman. They went up there, contacted Doc Waterman, Rachelle Waterman, asked them if they could interview her. They were also going to, another trooper interview Doc Waterman. They said, sure. They asked if she could go to the police department. Sure. They went down to the police department and she was interviewed there. She agreed to go with them. Sergeant McFerrin and Trooper Claus conducted the interview this time. She told them a number of things. She talked about her and her relationship. She said originally during the interview, first part of the interview, they had a good relationship. It was really good. Then as the interview progressed, she then talked about, well, my mother did abuse me. She hit me and did other things. She talked about her computer usage. She talked about her and Mr. Aaron's relationship, that this did cause some friction between her and her mother. She talked about her whereabouts over the weekend. She was up in Anchorage and things of that nature. And as I told you, she gave a false alibi about it. Like I said, that she called Mr. Aaron Sunday morning about 1 a.m. at his home. When they confronted her with Mr. Riddell and Mr. Aaron's story about them being in Hollis, and they weren't anywhere. They weren't at his residence in Hawaii. She then admitted that she hadn't called him, basically recanting her alibi. Can you do 2.3? Here's one of her statements about not having any problems. 2.3.
Getting back to relationships. Who's the phrases? Who's kind of the boss? Who kind of tells you what to do?
My mom.
Your mom, your dad, okay, so mom is the primary person you deal with.
Yeah.
Okay. And you kind of alluded to it, and kind of got some information from other sources that's been a little friction between you and your mother.
I'm a little sort of mad.
What were the modes of contention?
That Jason fell like we were friends for a while. We kind of talked about being together, but I don't know, depending on who you ask, we weren't out. And then I also had 4 abortions apparently. So it depends on who you talk to. And then we realized that, age difference is too great. And then my mom got it later. She said, you're talking to an older guy. And I was like, So it was kind of, she was a bit shocked, I guess, that I was talking to this older guy about that kind of thing, even though like very brief.
Okay. So how did that make you feel?
I told him a sitter position. I mean, I would be the exact same way if I had a child. But I mean, I was concerned.
How do you feel about her mom role in your life? I mean,
Gabby, I was thinking I thought Doc was her dad.
Doc is her dad.
I'm so confused.
Doc is her dad, but she was seeing a guy who was 24 years old, and her mother didn't like that.
'Cause, yeah, she's 16.
Yeah, she was 16.
I'm so confused. I'm so confused. I don't. We're just an opening statements, and I'm already confused. Hold on. I do have to make a public apology to Proton. Where did it go? I did not mean to completely take you off Discord. I promise. I just meant to kick you from the chat because you fell asleep. I did not mean to completely take you off Discord. This is why I'm not allowed to touch Discord, because I accidentally kick people out when that's not what I meant to do. So I apologize. I did not mean to do that.
So she was seeing PDF. Got it. Also, whenever they say Trooper, what is it? Trooper Santa or something?
Trooper Robert Claus?
Yeah, whenever they say Trooper Claus, all I heard was Chupacabra at first, and I was like, are they saying Chupacabra?
Yeah,
But it's not.
It is not. Hey,
Howdy.
what's up? Gabby, sorry,
Yes, I know what you're going to ask me. I know what you're going to
know what I mean. You know what I mean.
I know.
So, all right, let's keep going.
obviously, I mean, we were teens once. I had teenagers. I know sometimes there's resentment. And,
Well, I mean, sometimes I don't agree with why I can't go out with my friends, but I know she's pretty fair and she's open-minded. I mean, there's no nice things. I highly doubt Jason would do anything like that. I really don't think so either. It's just not, no, he wouldn't. Because he's offered to talk to her because she used to hit me occasionally.
Let me start 2.9. What happened? No.
this thing we talked about, it really hit you.
Yeah.
What,
My mother didn't
okay, so what was that on?
She was just mad. And she didn't like my colors and my female polish. She didn't like something I'm looking.
Licking? What's that?
It's just a religion that we believe is kind of like heavy mixed with what you call magic.
Okay.
We believe the earth has spirits and perform spells and
Okay. So she's upset with you about that.
yeah, she didn't like that.
Okay. So how did she feel?
She get angry and fight, well, not really fight, but you know, she said you shouldn't do that, blah, 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 lecture. And she hit me.
I'm explaining her. Sorry, across the face, kick you in the
Sorry, I gotta pause one more time, and then I promise I'll stop interrupting you guys. Please go follow. We call them feds here, because I don't know how to pronounce their actual name. They have a really cool channel. It's a pretty relaxing channel. So if you guys don't mind to go over there for just 1 second, go hit that like and subscribe button. I would actually really appreciate it. Just trying to support as much as we possibly can. Again, I will not keep stopping, but I did want to get that one up there.
And what do you mean?
She does different things. Once I was laying there and she hit me with a baseball bat on my legs. And she tried to push me downstairs, but I caught myself.
Well, sorry about you.
She pushed me down more. Pushed me to things.
You push it back.
Do much like that.
You tell Jason and Brian about these incidents.
Things like I just told her that my shoes are pieces.
You get rid of details about it.
I got really just. And she pushed me occasionally. I didn't really say exactly what happened.
You think they got outside on it then? Or you just be able to do everything?
Yeah, I really don't think they're angry because
So Jason wanted to get a reading if you wanted to.
he just wanted to talk to her or talk to the police or something. He just wanted me to be safe. And
When was the last time you were like,
a couple weeks ago, maybe. It was nothing big. It wasn't like, the worst she's ever done.
what's the worst you ever did?
She came at me with a knife once.
When was this?
That was a long time ago.
Like 5, 10, 15 years ago?
A year ago, maybe.
You got around, what was the circumstances around that?
And my dad was home. That was right after she found out me and I were having sex. He was my first. And she was very angry with me for that.
And she came at you with a knife.
I ran away in the kitchen. She was cutting on me for dinner. And I ran away.
Okay.
But I was murdered.
So did you tell Jason and Brian about all these incidents?
I told my dad.
No, this is the false alibi that she gave to the police about Mr. Aaron's. 2.5.
And as I said, we've developed some hard evidence that clearly pointed them. And we're trying to figure out, okay, what is the motivating factor here? What is driving these two to commit a murder?
He couldn't have because I called him. I did talk to somebody at Anchorage. I called him. Anchorage Thursday. It was probably 1 in the morning. I couldn't sleep.
What day?
Saturday night.
Saturday night? That would have been Saturday night, Sunday night?
Well, yeah. Was it like 1, 2 a.m.?
Or 2?
I was really bored. I couldn't sleep. I didn't do that.
Where did you call it?
And
This is Jason.
yeah.
And he's there and you talked for how long?
45 minutes, an hour. I didn't do no insurance. It was a lot of them.
So he was on the phone line in his room? This would have been
It's really loud.
across from, to get a cell phone.
Yeah.
Is that number there?
755. 755.
755.
Hang on. I don't have it. 2522, I think.
755, 2522.
I think. I'm pretty sure what we don't.
What was the gist of your conversation?
I was Marvel 9, was great. New Halo 2 game. And stuff. Just BSing for a while.
Okay. So he was home at that time. Anybody else can verify that conversation with her?
No, and while we were out time, we could say, no, I'd be happy to stay from
Where were you staying?
the area.
Okay, and where did it come
Yeah.
And where did she go? Use the phone. Okay. Again, what I'm saying, it's very important that you don't protecting the truth.
Okay. Then they confronted her with her and she admitted that she lied to protect him. It's 2.6.
Dr. Brian and Jason, their story is with us that they were together Saturday night, Sunday morning. That Jason drove out to Brian's house somewhere between 2 and 4 p.m. Saturday afternoon. They spent the remainder of Saturday at Brian's house. They came back to town to do a little shopping, but they did not go back to Jason's house. They went back to Brian's place in Hollis and stayed there the rest of Saturday night watching TV. Basically, they crashed there. And then Jason gets up in the morning and comes home, 10-ish, something like that. Now, that doesn't seem to match what you're telling us about the phone call, does it?
No.
Okay. So why was the discrepancy there? Who's being honest with us? Did you call him?
No.
Okay. So we didn't talk to him on Saturday. Okay, why did you tell us that before? Okay. The lie is important, understand? Okay. I understand your story, so you didn't talk to him on Saturday. When was the last time you talked to him?
Tuesday.
Before you left?
Yes.
But you never called him the whole trip?
Okay. So they conducted a third interview with Ms. Waterman on Friday, November 19th. In the evening at the Craig Police Station, they went to the Waterman residence. Ms. Rachelle Waterman was there with, I believe it was one of the Pierces, one of the neighbors. And Ms. Doc Waterman wasn't there. They asked if she would come with them and talk to him. By this time, they've talked with both Mr. Aaron and Mr. Riddell, who fully confessed and implicated her, so they didn't talk to him about it. She said she agreed. She said, "Do you want to talk to your father about it?" He said, "No, I don't need to talk to my father about it." And she agreed to go to the police department. So they went down to the police department and they interviewed her a second time, or third time, excuse me. This time it was Sergeant McFerrin who interviewed her, and Sergeant Habib was the other person involved in the interview. Trooper Claus was with Jason Aaron. He was taking them around the different sites where all the crime in this case had happened. And as I said, Mr. Riddell, Mr. Aaron at this time had implicated her in this case. This time in the interview, she talked with them. As to her claim that Lori Waterman abused her, she started out saying that her mother abused her. She told Mr. Aaron and Mr. Riddell this. They had killed her to protect her. And then at the end of the interview, she admitted that she had exaggerated the claims about how Lori Waterman abused her. She admitted to asking Mr. Aaron to kill Lori Waterman. They had discussed several murder plans about how to kill Lori Waterman. She said she had tried to call off the murder. And then she admitted that she hadn't called it off. And she was arrested after the third interview. Now, here's a few of the interview is 2 hours long, and here's a couple of minutes of it. Here's where she talks about asking Mr. Aaron to kill Lori and about the plans. It's 3.6.
What did you first tell Jason? I want you to get rid of my mom.
August sometime.
3 weeks away, and you get some access to them. What's going on?
We were kind of, let's call it coming to the end of the relationship. So we were kind of thinking, you know what, it's going to be worth it.
Okay. So even though your relationship's on the skates, you still have to say that. Because you're not. That hour?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we expecting Jason was gonna handle this on his own, or he was gonna shut him down and have somebody else? You know all of a sudden? Okay. When was the first time he came to you with a plan?
He didn't tell me about his boat trip thing. I did not know about that.
Okay.
And then I had just been calling him before the supposed to do the shooting thing, because he asked me the social thing about community drama. And he told me that I was going no.
Okay.
And then he said they were telling me about something like taking her home. It was just kind of like, I'm not yet. It told me not to kill us before. They were talking about it. And they said he might do this weekend. And I was thinking about staying there, and then I called him and told him not to do it. And he said, just more. We're doing all I want to be like it, and we're probably getting along now.
3.3.
You knew privately in town that this plan, this plot, this conspiracy was still active.
Yeah.
You knew it was out there.
And it was in here, yeah.
You knew these two guys were had something up their sleeve. They were thinking about doing something.
Yeah.
Okay, you knew this.
Yeah.
And you didn't stop it.
I called them.
No,
Or his.
you didn't go to the police to listen. This thing that started, this enormous mess been created. But I wanted you to help me stop it before something bad happens to my mother.
Because at that time, I wasn't sure. I was on the fence about it. It was for the same reason I went to him in the first place. I was scared for my well-being. Even though we've been getting along, it's happened before. We'll get along, and then she'll come back and blow up again.
Okay, well, everybody has their ups and downs. So I
Wonders when that was.
suppose so. But the thing is still hanging out there, and it's like a spare tire. I mean, it's just waiting, okay, I'll tell these guys to stand by and so next door.
No.
And then I'll start in.
No, it was.
It's kind of an either or situation. Either we're going to do this or we're not. Okay. And you're sitting on the
They
fence.
said maybe. They didn't say for sure. That's what they told me anyway. I don't know what they were talking about.
The language games, all of it. Okay. We're talking about the biggest crime there is, murder. And you're not clarifying what these people mean.
I was not asking them.
You guys are going to kill your mom or planning to kill
They
your
were plotting it, yes.
Okay, now I grant you plotting is one thing, doing is another.
Yeah.
Did you believe they were capable of doing?
Well, everyone's capable.
But I mean, did you really believe that Brian and Jason had the stones that killed your mom?
I'm sure no. I didn't think they had the balls to do it.
3.2.
Why don't you?
The state's coming out hot and heavy with this one. They're like, in my opening statement, I would like to put your confession in here. Yeah, it is, but they're coming out hot and heavy. Like, I understand the audio sucks. There's nothing I can do about that. And I get your point, but they are coming in hot and heavy. There's like 50,000 different things that I'm confused on right now. But this is fun. I mean, like how we do it. We watch the cases with you guys. So I'm seeing this. If you guys have never seen this, I've never seen this either. So we're going in, going it together. Yeah, I am too. I'm really surprised that the judge is letting this into an opening statement. I mean, this is not something that you normally see in an opening statement. Yeah, I am very, I'm just as shocked as you are with this one. But we'll keep trucking on and see what else they got.
7.
The beginning was right. I reinforced them, our situation, and murder was in the first thing they came to. First, I was talking about team. They actually pretty good at it. Different things like that, and I didn't take it together next to because I didn't be judged when she had said.
Okay.
And then it was that I just started being trust, murder, and so I, I didn't do a lot of talking, I did a lot of listening, because I didn't listen. So, like I said, it was discussed, and I said, well, yes, let's do it. And then, time passed, nothing happened, and I thought it was going to say.
Yeah, yes, let's do it. For which scenario?
They hadn't decided on that.
So you just basically gave them a green light for whatever they came up with
No, I told them I wanted to know what was going on.
before it happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some time passed, and it started getting a little better, and I thought they had come about it and started to say. Then another accident happened, and they started talking about it again. Just it in general. I mean, I didn't know a certain plot or anything.
We did. It's a scenario.
No, I heard a couple of different ideas. I heard about the production one, which was the main one they talked about. That's about it. And then, I forgot what happened. I told him about it, and nothing had been decided.
Rather than sit with your mom.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah.
I need some clarity.
And I asked him how long it happened,
Okay.
and I had a conversation about it. And he said, what do you want me to do? I said, but not a big bridge, call it. He said, what about our time? I said, I don't know. I'll talk to you later. So I guess he talked to Brian.
When was this?
That was before the shooting.
Okay.
And then I was talking to him, and he said, he told me about that, and he was,
The shooting.
yeah.
The handbook. Okay.
And like I said, my full time I was great. I told them, the one call out after he got Friday time, he said, I don't know if I can, I could please call it off.
Okay.
And then I thought of it, and I thought, okay, good. Then, okay, we're okay. And, phases again. And then I came out and started talking about it again. This time I wasn't so sure. I kind of, I don't know, I was like, it was, I'm feeling in the only sense that I wouldn't be abused. But then I was just I love her. So he talked about it, and they knew out the window because I was stuck out before, and yeah.
Just to confirm which window is this?
It's in the cabin has
That little TV.
yeah.
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 It's not a garage.
No. That's how I get out. It's up into the house.
Or speaking of conversion, I guess.
It's flat on the floor, which is a screen, try to get it off. Yeah. That was, well, they probably didn't know that before, it's just the conversation.
They were selling your house before this.
Yeah.
Okay. Never Jersey and then that sex or anything. Okay. Okay, continue.
And for straight, she started out interviewing another incident, and I told them about it. And they were coming up with this plot.
And she asked him.
A lot of my black, I also got the skinny mask. And normal stuff, you know.
Okay,
You don't want black.
all right.
And so they just come up with a conversation and yeah, and they're actually be on this again. So we were going to do done this what it was done. They were saying, so we were going to do something, this would be out some time. I'm kind of like, yeah, so. And well, that's when I didn't know if they were going to go state or not. So of course I only found out these weekends. After I found out I was going to state, I was really excited and I told them, yeah, I'm going to state our teammate and maybe. And I didn't really say anything about it. When I guess I was before about winning regionals. And before I left, they said we might do the planning season. And it'd be a good time, but
How's that considered legal?
Brian, I would do like them, Brian and I would not get it, and I didn't talk to him.
You're saying over the entire face-to-face conversation.
And then there's
Okay. Right, so, again, I asked you to be clear, he says what, okay? So Jason says that this would be the weekend.
and I was like, well, yeah, I thought, I mean, I didn't know if he was there to lose it for sure or not. I was just kind of like, I don't know, it was just bouncing out of my head. On the weekend, you're worried. And I thought of how, since the last season, and how things have actually become so much about what they've been in the last year. And we're both happy about regional and honor fire. We had talked to spend time on my honor fire trip. And
Juror.
yes, she was shot on the trip. And we got to spend time together. And someone called. I talked to him about it. And
This is the Friday night.
friend called.
Rachelle.
Yes.
Not be there. Or is this
And
evidence? You're
and he called Friday. And I was late and talked about it. The worst news. Well, we found out remember. I told him about the trip.
Right.
I told him how things were going. And I really don't remember much of that conversation. Wish I did.
There was something else with the uniform.
I didn't remember. I mean, you know, that was to get my memory. I truthfully wish I remembered more. I don't remember what I learned about Rachelle.
Rachelle, I'm curious if you would see.
I know, I'm truthfully trying to remember. I swear to God I am.
was that on her phone call, you did not tell her to stop.
No,
You did not tell her to stop.
no, I didn't know we shot. I didn't even know if it can happen or not.
Rachelle,
Yeah.
just suspected it was
I had an idea, but
This interview, she also admitted that she had exaggerated about the abuse by her mother. You go to 3.1.
she has reached out to me. She said, "We know what this threat."
how close were you to her when that happened?
I was just talking to her.
About what?
We were talking about school, and she just said, "Oh my gosh, someone."
You gave her the baseball bat in her hand. I can't believe that. Not the baseball bat. Bat.
We were in there discussing, talking. I was laying in my bed. Next to my bed is just a baseball bat. It's in her.
What did you do? It's more than killed me. Hey, so we've got an incident where she held the knife up, possibly, and we got an incident with a baseball bat where what she held the bat.
No, she didn't have that.
Well, okay,
I mean, it wasn't like full knocked her skull out thing.
did it break? You're like,
No, she struck the words.
break her spot, break the skin, you know,
Struck it.
the skin.
No, it's kind of good.
On the matter that you didn't want to have problems, and there's, I mean, there was fights. Okay. I had problems with these involvements, and I had a problem with the fact that didn't do anything about it.
So they want to do something in that.
Sometimes not. Okay. We had one there in the house that we go to, we had neighbors and a bunch of other people who care about us. We didn't want them.
Well, I confided in people, but I guess I was a bit growing.
So they can do this.
Well, I was saying on the stairs, she's coming like this, and right on the house.
Well, that's a little more than that discussion.
Maybe, I'm sure if they get that to
You see, you understand something here, so, okay. Language is a tricky thing. Okay. If you're not clear about what happens, people can misunderstand, right? It happens every day, we misunderstand one another. Language is a tricky thing. It's very easy to exaggerate. It's very easy to embellish, where kind of stuff on the stairs becomes thrown down the stairs. Okay, so you what were you see what I'm saying? She didn't grab you by the back of your hands and stuff your neck and run you up to the stairs and down the hill, right? You two of you are in the stairwell and there's an altercation and there's some pushing. Okay, there's a push. Okay, big difference, right? Okay, but you see how if you're not clear about what happened, how somebody else could interpret that. Okay. You think you're saying push the stairs. Jason, his vision of that incident is, throw it down the stairs. Okay. All right. When you say you might not hit move that, okay, you're saying we'll have me with it.
Yeah.
He can and Brian smack. Okay, you see how things get exaggerated and blown out of proportion if you're not careful. Just like you're doing now. Okay. So, like I said, I have down for a minute there was discord between you and your mother and things like physical occasion. But she never threatened your life. Okay, but did she ever threaten your life? Yes.
No.
Did she ever cause an injury that would require hospitalization or medical treatment?
No.
Okay, she did not have any teeth.
No.
to breaking bones, to basically. Okay.
So I got another page one for one.
From probably around September until November, Rachelle Waterman and Mr. Arendt exchanged letters with each other. He would type a number of them and would then have them delivered to her. Either he delivered them or he had someone else deliver them. Usually it was John Wilburn, because he went to school there. And he left copies on his computer because he printed them off his computer. And we've got copies of all of his letters that he wrote. It was like 10 letters that he wrote from September until November of 2004. In addition, Rachelle wrote some number of letters, and these were also recovered as well. And Mr. Wilburn admitted that he delivered some of them between the two of them. Mr. Rand delivered as well, some of them. In them, they didn't come out and say they were planning on killing him. However, they did make some admissions. Example, what their plans were going to be after Lori was gone, after her death. Here's one of the letters. I think it's in the one in the left corner. 9/24/04 is the date it was started to be typed. So it was typed beginning in September. This is by Mr. Arendt's letter. The typed ones are Mr. Arendt's letters. The handwritten ones I'll show you in a few minutes are Ms. Waterman's. This section, he talks about, I miss you so much, baby. It's going to be hard to wait a month if we have to, but Brian thinks we'll be able to move on the plan a lot sooner than that. I'm sure there'll be some cooling down time afterwards, since I'm betting your dad will go into protective mode on you. But, and I'm just guessing on this, I've always seen you as a kind of a pushover when it comes to him. He also just happens to be a pushover when it comes to your mom. So when she's out of the picture, it should be all good. No worries, baby. I know it's easy to say, and it doesn't make it any easier to stay away from you, but you'll be all right. I just know it. Or to quote the Princess Bride, this is true love. You know, this happens every day. Soon it'll just be a memory, and we'll be together again. No matter what I have to do, we'll be together. The way I see it, even as hard as it is to be apart from you, it really is inevitable. I mean, I can't live without you, and I'm not exactly ready to be shuffled off this moral coil just yet. So that leaves only one option, like my logic. On this part of the letter, he says, and Brian and I were thinking of another thing, a number of things, but if some catastrophe happens and she's not around for the duration of your stay in that house, these are plans that they're going to do if they weren't able to kill her and she stayed around. And then this paragraph here, he says, and there's one other thing I was thinking too. While I do not know your dad too well, I think that after your mom was gone, then we might, after waiting a bit, of course, just come clean to him. I think by come clean to him was that they're having a relationship, not that they'd killed his mother. I could come over and we will all sit down and chat and really tell him the truth. He might be okay with it if we decide to be open and honest with him about it, instead of sneaking around. If I was your father, I know I'd expect that from a guy that wanted to date my daughter anyway. Here's another letter. It's from October 6th. He started typing on October 6th. A lot of these letters he typed over several days. So this one was in October, started on October 6th. In this paragraph, he says, I think about it all the time, baby, and I just always wonder how it would really be and when. I wonder if we'll just get on MSN one of these nights when I'm still up and say, come and get me. I wonder if it'll be after your mother goes away. I even wonder if it'll be after you're 18. That's one not happy thought, the waiting part I mean. I can wait, and if I have to, I will. I can wait for you until the sun goes dark, but I'll be hurting pretty bad. Here's another one in October. Here's a paragraph. I'll be so glad when this whole thing with your mother is over. I know it's not like I'm going to be able to see you right away, probably, but at least you'll be safe. That, and to be perfectly honest, all this waiting and planning and thinking about it is stressing me the hell out. It'll be worth it in the end, and I know that, but it's just starting to feel kind of overwhelming. I don't know. Maybe I just need somebody to lean on and get, hey, somebody right. If it couldn't be you, it wouldn't be anybody. Here's another letter. I'm not sure the exact date of it. This is a couple pages into it. It's the fourth letter he wrote. This paragraph here. And it would happen soon enough. We're talking a year absolute minimum here, and probably later. I'm going to hire a team of the most expensive lawyer you can buy to get you emancipated, whether your mother is still here or not. Parentheses, which she shouldn't be. Close parentheses. Another reference to her being killed and possibly being killed. Here's a letter that Ms. Waterman wrote that's been covered. Here's a paragraph that she writes here. Actually, I wish I could live with you. It consumes most of my thoughts. It will happen one day, hopefully not long after V-Ball. I'm actually hoping my dad goes off his rocker and I can have reason for emancipation. It's a dream, I know, but it helps me get through the day. And here's another letter. This paragraph here. I'm tempted to take a, quote, hunting trip, unquote, myself. Guess what my mom is wanting me to do by threatening me? Go out with Ian again, and I know why, because she figures when I'm with him, I won't smoke or drink because he won't allow it. Parentheses, even though I've been clean for a while, long while, too long, close parentheses. That word hunting trip is in parentheses if you remember the email about the hunting trip and the shooting incident. Right there. Now, the indictment in this case, there are 7 charges. The judge read the indictments, the instructions, but here's what the count 1 actually says. It charges all 3 of them. That on or about June 2004, continuing through to November 4th, at or near Prince of Wales Island, First Judicial District, State of Alaska, defendants Brian Riddell, Jason Rant, and Rachelle Waterman, with intent to promote or facilitate a serious felony, that is the murder of Lori Waterman, did knowingly agree with one another, with one or more persons to engage in or cause performance of said serious felony, and one or more of the persons engaged in an overt act in further conspiracy. Murder in the first degree charges that on or about November 14, 2004, at or near Prince of Wales Island, First Judicial District, State of Alaska, Brian Riddell, Jason Aaron, and Rachelle Waterman potentially caused the death of Lori Waterman. Murder in second degree, it's also called felony murder, that on or about November 14, 2004, at or near Prince of Wales Island, in the First Judicial District, State of Alaska, Brian Riddell, Jason Aaron, and Rachelle Waterman either acting either alone or with one or more persons committed or attempted to commit burglary and or kidnapping, and in the course of or in furtherance of that crime or in immediate flight from that crime, any person caused the death of a person other than one of the participants, to wit, Lori Waterman. Kidnapping that on or about November 14, 2004, at or near Prince of Wales Island in the First Judicial District, State of Alaska, Brian Riddell, Jason Aaron, and Rachelle Waterman restrained Lori Waterman with intent to inflict physical injury upon or sexually assault the restrained person or place the restrained person or a third person in apprehension that any person would be subject to serious physical injury or sexual assault. Burglary first degree, that on or about November 14, 2004, at or near Prince of Wales Island, First Judicial District, State of Alaska, Brian Riddell, Jason Aaron, and Rachelle Waterman, and to remain unlawfully in the Waterman dwelling with intent to commit the crime of murder and or kidnapping and or assault in the dwelling. Vehicle theft, that on or about the 14th day of November 2004, at or near Prince of Wales Island in the First Judicial District, State of Alaska, Brian Riddell, Jason Aaron, and Rachelle Waterman, having no right to do so or any reasonable ground to believe they had such a right, drove, towed away, or took the car, truck, motorcycle, motorhome, bus, aircraft, or watercraft, and another to it, a van belonging to Carl and Lori Waterman. And finally, tampering with evidence, that on or about November 14, 2004, at or near Prince of Wales Island in the First Judicial District, State of Alaska, Brian Riddell, Jason Aaron, and Rachelle Waterman destroyed, mutilated, altered, suppressed, concealed, or removed physical evidence with intent to impair its verity or availability in an official proceeding or criminal investigation, and did any of the aforementioned with intent to prevent the institution of an official proceeding, and the tampering is the burning and the destruction of Lori's body in the van. Now, after hearing all the evidence, the state will be requesting return verdicts, finding Rachelle Waterman guilty of conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree, murder in the first degree, murder in the second degree, kidnapping, burglary in the first degree, vehicle theft in the first degree, and tampering with physical evidence. Thank you.
I'm so confused.
What are you confused about?
All of it.
Okay, so basically what I had, everything he said is basically what I got here. So I can say it because it's not spoiling anything.
Well,
So-
I went to go look at the chat and see if I could get anything from them, and then I look over and you guys talk about butt plugs. So can't get anything from there.
That was my bad. I was the one who said butt plug. She grew up, she lived in Craig, Alaska. Saturday, November 13th, Lori Waterman, who is her mother, she's 48 years old. She's a special ed aide. She volunteered at a Chamber of Commerce dinner. Her husband and her daughter were out of town. Her daughter, who's the defendant, was at a volleyball tournament in Anchorage. Her husband was out of town. I can't remember where they said he was, but she was 400 miles away. Laurie went to bed after 11 p.m. alone. When Doc and Rochelle got home the next day, Laurie and her van were gone. And she was supposed to be there. So Doc called his best friend, who's their next door neighbor, say, hey, have you seen her? I mean, I'm pretty sure this town isn't very big. A lot of these towns in Alaska, like the fishing villages and stuff, they're pretty small. So there's not a lot of people. Like, it said that he went and checked the town for her. So for someone to go and check a town for somebody, it can't be that big. Then, her father and Rachelle, they went up, they found odd things throughout the house. They said they found a tip of a rubber glove. They found the fibers. He talked about finding the weird fibers. They also found an empty wine bottle on the kitchen counter, which is odd because Laurie doesn't really drink. Then they talked about, I'm pretty sure they talked about Rochelle's boyfriend, 24-year-old boyfriend. He was actually a janitor, Marine Corps dropout. Then the next day, they find the car, the van, in the woods, smoldering. And he talked about this, where the fire was so hot that it melted the paint off the van and melted the both license plates. And they find behind the driver's seat, they find a pile of ash with a human skull.
I just like,
which
Is it
was
being
later
an
found
opening?
that it was her.
with it being an opening state, I'm like, is your dad involved? What?
Well, that's a thing. They have a bunch of suspects. From what I was reading, I tried not to read like too much about it because I also want to kind of like go into it like not really knowing a lot. But her boyfriend, 24. Her boyfriend has a best friend who she also dated, and he is he's also 24 years old. So there's a bunch of different suspects, obviously before the trial.
Right.
They have a bunch of people in mind.
This is a weird opening statement.
Yeah. Well, from what I gather, this is gonna get kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's not like a, regular trial like you would expect, kind of thing. There's a lot of moving parts to it.
Yeah, this one's definitely different. Brock, your guess is as good as mine. I don't even know.
Why did they wait so long to report her missing?
Don't know.
Is what I don't get. Yeah, so let me see, because I think I wrote something in there. Doc called his best friend, next door neighbor, Don Pierce.
I thought the same thing. 81 drop out or throw out.
That's what the article had said about him. It said drop out.
Yeah, you're good.
That is kind of true because I remember reading that it had been like a day or so.
Yeah.
And she had went to school because I couldn't find her, so she went to school to have some kind of normalcy, is what the article said. I was like, I'm sorry. My mother's missing. I'm 16 years old. I'm not going to school.
My mother's missing. I'm 16 years old. Let me go ahead and confess, but then not confess, but then confess, and then not confess.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to this.
Yeah.
But then it says that
you'll like this one. No, don't start it from the beginning. Gabby's updating right now.
Van was found in the woods 40 miles away from their house, smoldering. Okay, I said that.
So, Shinny, basically, this is a 16-year-old, and other than that, I don't know what is happening. We just went through opening statements. I don't even know what's happening. That's
The
one of the
beginning of the
weirdest
article,
opening statements
that I
ever.
read was like very strange. Okay, because they talk about having like playing D&D and like video games and stuff,
Yeah.
right? So that is her boyfriend at the time, 24-year-old boyfriend Jason, his friend, who she also dated, who's also 24, Brian, owned a computer store, and he would like gather up all the high school kids to get them to his computer store to play video games, and they played D&D. It's probably like a Magic, they played Magic the card
Yeah,
game, like stuff like that there.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that plays into it. There's a bunch of other things that is kind of strange from what I read, but
Yeah. And to answer Shay's question, yeah, smoldering as on fire, yes.
yes,
And we're
yeah.
talking about her mom. That's who was
They said
smoldering.
that the fire was so hot, Shinny, that the paint had peeled off the whole van and melted both license plates. And all that was found left of her was a pile of ash in her skull, basically.
Yeah. It's and that's just the state's opening statement. And the other thing, Shani, is they played some audio where she confesses and then redacts it, and then confesses and then redacts her statement and then confesses. I don't. This trial, like I just got done with the trial that was gonna be the death of me, but we're going right into another one.
I don't know what that means, AT1.
That will definitely. What do you say?
This?
Yeah. Yeah,
You
he's
see it?
saying he's saying a dropout is they failed boot camp, like they couldn't do it, so they're not even like it's disrespectful.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not. I wasn't talking about that one. I was talking about the other one. This one.
Oh, sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
you keep.
Click it back. Sorry. We'll see. We're just in opening statements. I don't even know. Like I don't know. We are just
Dated
in.
who? What do you mean?
I think he's talking about the like did they date, like did she date the 24-year-old or
Yeah, so during the time of this unaliving of her mother, she was going out with the 24-year-old Jason.
Yeah.
And her mother didn't like that because he was a lot older than her.
Yeah,
Jason had a best friend who owned the computer store, who was also 24, that Rachelle also dated at a different time. His name is Brian, who owns the computer store where they play D&D.
Gotcha. Hold on, I gotta say hi to somebody real quick.
Gabby, do the nasty. No.
Hi, and welcome from Israel. I'm not the normal streamer. I know I look like a 12-year-old boy. For all of you watching, I'm not. I'm a 30-year-old female. I promise. Sometimes I look in the mirror. I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm like, oh, that's you.
Oh, yes. Both guys.
But normally it's my mom, but today Gabby and I took over my mom's stream. She is out to dinner with my grandpa. But she'll be back tomorrow.
Yes, AT1, yes. She went out with both guys, but at different times. Not the same time.
So the next, my mind and my brain already hurts. But we're gonna see what the defense has to say. Like, I'm so confused. My brain hurts. But we're gonna go ahead and see what the defense opening statement is. It's what the fuck? And if the audio is bad on this one, I can't help it. It's an older one. This was in 2004, or I think the trial is 2005 actually.
Yes, exactly. Shinny. See?
Yeah,
She gets it. She gets me.
Yeah, she gets it. But
Shinny gets it.
if the audio is bad, sorry, I can't do anything about it. 2006, my bad. So the trial,
One whole date.
we're gonna get going on. This is the defense on what they have to say.
Rachelle Waterman is a teenage girl. She grew up in a small town in southeast
Hold on,
Alaska.
can you pause it?
A town of about 1,400 people.
I'm sorry, but why the heck is he grabbing her like that?
I literally thought the same thing. I was like, get your hands off that child.
That was so aggressive. Did you see how he did? He just walked right up
he's
behind her.
Yeah.
That was so ridiculous. Sorry, just had to make that comment.
No, you're good. You and I are thinking the exact same thing.
Oh my god.
On a very large island that has a few thousand people scattered across it. Essentially, she is just quintessential small town teenager. Her father, Doc Waterman, sitting right over there in the green jacket, he was a local real estate agent, sat on the school board. He'd been around town for a long time. Her mom was a teacher's aide, active in local events, well-known, well-loved. She was active in her church, in the Catholic Church. She wanted Rachelle to be active in the Catholic Church as well. Rachelle volunteered as she was growing up. She volunteered for the PTSA, the Parent Teacher Student Association. She was in Girl Scouts. She did volunteer work through Girl Scouts. She was on the student council. She was in band. She was in honor choir. She was on volleyball, academic decathlon. She was, by all accounts, an exemplary, a model student. But like every teenage girl, particularly small town teenage girls, she dreamt of bright lights in the big city. She chafed at rules that teenage girls find so restrictive, rules that teenage girls impose upon their own children when teenage girls become mothers. She chafed when her mother did not like her boyfriends. She chafed when her mother did not like her outfits. She chafed when her mother did not like some religions that she was looking at. She chafed at experiences and rules that we all go through. And she said and she thought things that teenage girls say and think. My life would be a lot better if my mom was not around. It would be so much better if I could be free. I would be so much happier if I didn't have these rules. There's only really one difference between Rachelle Waterman and every other teenage girl. Rachelle Waterman had the misfortune to repeat her comments to Jason Arendt. Rachelle Waterman was 15 years old in August of 2003, about a year before the events occurred that we're discussing here today. In her sophomore year of high school, she had a number of friends she'd grown up with because she lived on the island all of her life. She had schoolmates that she'd gone to school with since kindergarten. And they would do things either with people in their class, people a few classes around them, people from next door. You'll hear about the Pierces. They were good friends. You'll hear about the Clauses, the Claus daughters from Trooper Claus. They were good friends with Ms. Waterman. And in the spring of her sophomore year, February, March, she met two people. She met Brian Riddell and she met Jason Arendt. And she met them because sometimes kids on the island, they would get together and they would play video games. they would have an Xbox connection, or they would have a different computer set up so that they would have a hub here, and then you could have games scattered around so that one person could see the screen, and they were three-dimensional role-playing games type of thing. I don't know if you've ever seen Halo or Rainbow Warrior or things like that, or Doom, the ones with the guns, and you go out and shoot, and you can play with teams and go, fight and hunt and all that sort of stuff. And there were a lot of kids there, a lot of kids from high school, kids that Rachelle knew. There were a couple of guys that were older, in their mid-20s, that hung around high schoolers. One guy, Jason, he was a janitor at the Cloak High School. He'd gone to the Marines after high school, and he dropped out. He dropped out after 3 months. He'd been in what they call a physical conditioning unit. Essentially, he was overweight, and he couldn't lose enough weight to stay in the Marine Corps. So he drops out, and at the age of 25, he lives with his mom, lives with his dad, smokes a bit of weed, he drinks a bit of booze, and he tries to date high school girls. And he's got a friend named Brian Riddell. And Brian Riddell is a large man. Large actually doesn't quite cover it. Words that have been used to describe him in various reports are hulking, massive, about 6'4", 6'5", about 275 pounds. And Brian and Jason had known each other for about 10 years. They met when they were at Bible camp, believe it or not. I don't know what Bible camp they went to, what Bible they learned from, but they certainly did not learn the sixth commandment, thou shalt not kill. They swore an oath to be blood brothers, and Brian took this very seriously. Brian swore to Jason, I will do what you need. I will be there for you. We will be like this. Brian's dad had been in the military. His brother was in the military. Brian did not go to the military. Brian did not have a good upbringing. His father was stern, abusive, cold, distant. It made Brian want to be sort of a protector, make sure that didn't happen to somebody else. And so at these parties, Brian and Jason had some equipment. They would bring them, and they would play these games with the high school kids. They would smoke weed sometimes with the high school kids, provide them beer, and cigarettes, and porn. As time went along, they by and large showed up at these events. Brian and Rachelle sort of, I don't know if you could call it dating. They interacted a bit. They fooled around. They had sex. Brian was 24. Rachelle at that time, Rachelle was 15 years old. That's a crime in the state of Alaska. In the state of Alaska, the age of consent is 16. And there has to be at least 3 years, or there cannot be more than 3 years age difference. So for a 15-year-old to have sex with somebody that's over the age of 16, they have to be under the age of 19. Essentially, Brian could have gone to jail for up to 10 years for having sex with Rachelle. Brian dabbled a bit in computers. He set up a computer shop on the island of Prince of Wales. He was not a very good business person. People would give him some money to get something done, and he'd take too long. He didn't really have much motivation. He just kind of used his computer shop as an excuse to sit there on his computer, as a place to play games. Games like Halo on the computer, maybe games like D&D with dice and books. He opened his computer shop in June of 2004, June 23. And Rachelle, being interested in computers, went to work for him. She worked for him about 1 day a week, maybe 2. The day that his computer store opened, they had kind of a falling out, maybe a little bit strong. They had a dispute. They never really were in a dating relationship per se, but they had been intimate. After the computer store opened, they were never intimate again. Jason Eric would come by. He would potentially work on computers. He didn't really do anything, but he would come by sometimes. He would see Rachelle there. He would see Brian. He would play games with other high school students. Brian knew at that point in time that he was not going to have a long-term relationship with Rachelle. But he thought about his friend Jason. And he thought, Jason's a pretty good guy. And he tells Rachelle, you ought to go out with Jason. He pushes the 2 of them. You ought to go out. I think you and Jason might work out. And so for a bit there in the summer, Rachelle and Jason date. Rachelle turned 16 in August of 2003. In July of 2003, she and Jason had sex. Once again, it's a crime in the state of Alaska. And Jason would give her marijuana, he'd give her booze, and he'd give her tobacco. All of those are crimes in the state of Alaska. Rachelle was an interesting mix of contradictions. On the one hand, she was the perfect student. But on the other hand, like every other teenage girl, she chafed under what her mom wanted. She chafed under what she thought the school wanted. And so she rebelled. She rebelled in ways that all kids rebel. She wore clothes that she knew her mom might not like, painted her fingernails black, and she did things to kind of aggravate her mom. She also talked with people about how her mom would abuse her. She would say, yeah, my mom hits me. My mom slaps me. My mom's on me for this. Mom's on me for that. What's interesting is Rachelle's teenage friends had the common sense to know Rachelle's blowing smoke. It's Rachelle's adult friends that take advantage of that and use that, just like they use her. And so Rachelle says, I would be so much better off without my mom. And Jason says, well, I can take care of that. Oh, sure, dude, that's a da 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 da. And that's where it starts. Jason goes to Brian and says, we need to get rid of Lori Waterman. And he doesn't ever say, at that point, Rachelle wants this. He says, we need to get rid of Lori Waterman. But that's not all he said. You see, there was another fellow that Rachelle had dated on again and off again. He was sort of on the picture. He'd be in the crowd that would go play the games. His name is Ian Lindrum. And there was always this sort of back and forth. It's almost a teenage girl boyfriend of the month. Well, Jason didn't want competition. And so he says to Brian, we need to get rid of Lori Waterman to protect Jason. I'm sorry, to protect Rachelle. He says, we need to get rid of Ian Lindrum. And Brian goes, I'm not going to kill anybody unless they're really in danger. And I don't think Ian's going to do anything. I'll take care of it. And he goes down to Ian and he says, hey, back off of Rachelle. You're not my friend anymore. He's 25 years old. Might think he's 15, but he's 25. And so a couple of weeks later, Brian's computer business has folded. Folds in early August. Actually, shortly after his computer business folds, they never have any more contact between Brian and Rachelle. They never do. That's what he tells the police. That's what he's going to say here. They never have any contact. And so it's just Jason that's feeding Brian all of this stuff. A couple weeks later, Jason comes to Brian and says, well, we really do need to get rid of Lori Waterman. Brian says, why? He says, well, because she's doing all this stuff to Rachelle. She's threatening her. She's hitting her with a baseball bat. She's threatening her with a knife. We need to get rid of her. And Brian goes, well, I don't know. Why can't we just, like emancipate her? No, we got to get rid of her. Oh, well, let me see what we can do. So they start talking about things, Jason and Brian. And Jason is the one saying, Rachelle wants this. And then after a couple of weeks while they're planning this out, Jason comes back and says, well, actually, you know what? Rachelle told me not to go through with it. Don't worry about it. So they kind of put it on the back burner and not worry about it for a little bit until another blow up. And Jason comes in and says, you know what? Okay, this is what's happening. Here's what Lori's done. And we really need to save her this time. And by God, I've had it. She is grounded. Who knows what Lori is doing in that house? I mean, she threatened Rachelle with a knife. We have got to get there. Jason, come on, let's go. And Jason says, what? Go. Go. Get in the car now. And so they get in the car and they drive out by Rachelle's house. And on the way out to Rachelle's house, they call from a convenience store. And they check and they make sure Lori is there. And they pull up behind it. And Jason hands Brian a knife and says, get down there and kill Lori Waterman. And I don't want you to come back till you do. And Brian wanders down and looks around and goes, what am I doing here? I'm not going to kill anybody. He turns around and he walks back. And Jason goes, well, did you kill her? No. Why not? Well, I don't see the need to. Drive away. Contact with Rachelle is tapering off. It's tapering off. School's getting ready to start. Rachelle's busy. She gets in trouble because she's sneaking out of her house. Now here's something that's interesting. This is the front of the Waterman house. There's a door into the garage, door into the main area. There's actually 3 floors here. Here's the garage. And over on this side, there are some windows. And over on this side, there are some windows. They go into a small room. This over here, this is falling apart. This is the left side of the house. You can see these windows right here. There's a small room. Leads right out on the ground floor, or right out onto the ground. It's inside the house. That's where Rachelle would sneak out. She actually got caught sneaking back in. Rachelle, like a teenage girl, sometimes sneak out at night to see friends. And so she would sneak in and out of this side over here. Actually, I'm gonna leave that up just a little bit. So she winds up getting grounded. And as she's grounded, Jason starts filling Brian's head with all these stories of what Lori might be doing to Rachelle. There comes a phone call. Brian is over at Jason's house. Jason picks up the phone. A couple of terse words are spoken. The phone is slammed down. Brian says, after a few seconds, I hear the unmistakable sound of a rifle bolt being thrown together. And he walks in and he sees Jason with a 7mm, and Jason says, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to shoot Lori Waterman. And Brian goes, calm down, dude, calm down. He says, I can't talk him out of it. So he says, you don't want to do this, man. You can't do this. Give me a week and I'll figure it out. So Brian goes to shoot Lori Waterman. He pulls up outside the school and he waits because she doesn't show up that day. And he gets back and he calls Jason and he says, she never showed up. Jason goes, well, I don't know what happened. He goes, but actually it's good. Rachelle actually called me from school and found out what was going on and said, don't do it. Are you crazy? I don't want this. So it's good that happened. And Brian says, well,
I don't know what's happening. I'm so judgmental right now. I hate his tie. I hate the judge's hair. About what is happening. And he's trying to sit here and say, "Oh, she said don't do it." Well, she also contradicted herself with the prosecutors' opening statements about 50,000 times.
Legit though, the judge's hair. How'd she get it to stay like that?
I'm not trying to be an asshole.
She just recently sprayed it with a bunch of Aquanet and went outside in a windstorm.
Yeah.
Just went to work like that.
Yeah, she reminds me of somebody from that Coolville.
Oh yeah.
Let's go. Thank you so much for the super chat. I know that you have a lot of different. The chat's gonna take it as chickens. I'm gonna take it as cocks.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
I said the same thing.
To attend to. Oh, also, you never messaged me back, man. Checking up on you, and you're like, I don't care.
Hey, Carmen, how does it feel?
Shut up. I'm pressing play.
are we going to do this or not? And Jason goes, I don't know. Give me some time to think about it. So about a week goes by. They don't hear anything. So Brian goes over to Jason's house. Jason goes, well, no, Rachelle really doesn't want it. Now, at this point in time, something interesting happens. Rachelle calls Jason and says, you know, it's the phone call that every man dreads. Why don't we just be friends? Officially puts the end on the relationship. Now, they had sent some letters back and forth, and you can see some of them, and we'll talk about those in a little bit, and we'll address them throughout the trial. But you read these letters, and a lot of Jason's letters come in late September, October, and November. So we're not quite there yet. But you read Rachelle's letters, and they're the letters of a teenage girl who wants love, who wants attention, who wants somebody to take her away, to be married and to live happily forever after. So shortly after she tells Jason, don't do this, she breaks it off. Now, there's a really interesting point here. When Rachelle's room was searched after her arrest, Trooper Claus found a letter. It was a letter from Jason to Rachelle. Jason was pleading with her to take him back because the relationship had ended at her suggestion. That letter was not kept in evidence. It was not taken, and I don't have it here today. It wasn't taken because, in the words of Trooper Claus, it didn't directly relate to the murder plot. He wrote about it, but we don't have it. We don't have it. After that, Rachelle got grounded a bit later in early to mid-October. And whatever little contact remained, and one of Jason's letters says, it was good to see you the other day. We hardly ever see each other. Face-to-face meetings never happen anymore. Whatever little contact remained dried up. And so the plan gets put back on the burner. Jason starts pressuring Brian once again. After the time in late September, the time when Brian sat outside the school with the rifle, Jason never tells Brian again that Rachelle wants this. It's never stated again. Rachelle goes on throughout her school. She talks to Jason here and there. She travels a bunch. She travels to Haynes for honor choir. She's traveling for school. They make the state finals for the basketball or the volleyball tournament. This is Prince of Wales. This is Craig. This is the big thing. You know how gold medal is here when everybody comes to go ahead and play basketball? That's the way that it is in Craig with volleyball. That's the way that it is with the girls' volleyball team, and their arch rivals are Metlakatla. And the year before, Metlakatla had won. And this time, they beat Metlakatla. I'm sorry, I was mistaken. It was Petersburg. And so they win the regional championship.
What is happening? Why are we talking about basketball, volleyball? and then-
Because she plays volleyball. She plays
I'm
sports.
sorry. So? Like, you just.
He's trying to prove that she wasn't there because she was at a volleyball tournament.
He couldn't
therefore
even
she
get the
do it.
name of the school right. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, that was Petersburg. You can't even get the name of the school right, defense man. What's happening?
Idol. Me 3. She plugged butt into wall. Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
She
I
just
mean,
looks really surprised.
I don't.
She looks surprised to even be there today. She's like,
She looked a little shocked.
her second job is being a scarecrow, though. I mean, I'm just, there's no way around that.
Yeah, I'm just like, why do we have a picture of a house, which is something I would draw in like 5th grade? We're talking about volleyball. We have butt plugs going on in the chat. What is happening today?
This Zach's comment.
Yeah, party in the front, or party in the front. I'm not reading the rest of that. I had to take a second. I'm pressing play.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to pay attention to this chant, like what is happening with this, which is confusing enough. I got chat going over here. I'm pushing play.
Championship, and they're going to go backwards. And Rachelle runs into Jason, and she's excited. And she says, "Yeah, I'm going to Anchorage, and I'm excited, and this is what I got to do, and da 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 da." And my dad is going to be gone, and he's got to go to Girl Scouts or something this weekend. And so Jason goes, "So your mom's home alone this weekend?" Yeah, he is. Yeah. And here's something that's interesting. Lori Waterman would actually be gone or home alone a number of times. And when she was home alone, she would lock doors. She would lock this door here that goes into the garage. She would lock this door that goes into the front. And she would lock this door, the door that goes from the garage to the bottom of the house. Doc knew it. Rachelle knew it. They also knew that Lori did not like to drive. She didn't like to drive far distances across the island. She also didn't like to drive down logging roads. She didn't like to drive way out past where the pavement ended. She would do it when she had to, when they would go play other places there on the island in volleyball. But she didn't like to do it. So Rachelle leaves. She tries to call Jason 2 or 3 times throughout the time that she's gone. There are the phone records. There's a couple calls on one night, another call on another night. Jason says that she would call him sometimes when she would be gone. She did still talk to him. But Rachelle gets back on Sunday. Rachelle gets back on Sunday, and her mom's gone. The van's not there. There's a bottle of wine. It's empty. She wonders what is going on. Scott McDonald, the day that morning, had found a van. Found a van way up a logging road. It's on fire, still smoldering. There are human remains in it. It did not take very long for word to get out throughout Prince of Wales what had happened. It did not take very long to put 2 and 2 together. Word on Monday, Rachelle goes to school. It's about the van. The word also is that Jason is arrested. Rachelle calls Jason on Monday. Find out that's true. Has he been arrested? She's sobbing. In fact, she's sobbing to the point in the principal's office that they come and get her next door neighbor, Don Pierce, who teaches there, to take her home. He gets there and Jason shows up. And Jason's really pushy. No, I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to take care of this. Don goes, no, you're not.
Hold on 1 second. June, thank you so much. Those went to Gabby. You want to pronounce the names? I'm really bad at pronouncing names.
You only want me to do it because if I mispronounce it, which I am 100% going to,
Yeah,
it's going to be more hilarious. First one went to Tink. Second one went to Fleck. Next one went to Chrissy Bacon. Next one went to D. Lee Lou. Teresa. K. Swan. Lauren H. and C. Scott. See, I'm not going to do it right either, so.
And
Thank
then,
you, June.
The rest went to
Oh, yeah. Regina and Momo Shark.
Yeah. So, June, thank you so much for those. We really, really appreciate them. And congratulations to everybody that just got gifted a membership. That's huge. Like, thank you. Thank you so much. And then the very next comment that I just read was landing strip. I'm impressed.
Me too. I legit just read that. Oh, Mama Wow, be in the house. Now better be best on your best behavior.
I ain't doing shit.
Can't be talking about landing strips now. Oh, did I say that out loud? Sorry, Mama Wow.
I ain't. I'm not sorry for anything. But again, thank you so much, June. And we really, really
You don't have to
appreciate
wipe your feet.
Oh, I'm pressing play. I can't even get this out.
I am. And he takes Rachelle home. Jason follows and tries to hang on, but he doesn't. He never really talks to her after that. Now, police, as you might imagine, are rather interested in what has happened. Trooper McPheron, in applying for a search warrant, said that in his experience, failed romantic relationships can frequently be a grounds or a basis for murder. And so they begin looking at Jason and at Brian. They bring them in. They bring them in to talk to them. They bring them in actually on Wednesday, the 17th. And on the 17th, in the morning, Jason says, I didn't do it. Say, okay. Thank you. About 2 or 3 hours later, he comes back. It's about noon. And he says, Ian Lindrum. You remember him? He says, Ian Lindrum. I was there when they broke up, and Ian Lindrum made a bunch of vindictive comments. Look at him. I say, okay, thank you. Then about 4:30 or so that afternoon, they get a call. They get a call from the Klawock police station. They get a call from the police station, or for the Klawock school, and it says, you know what? There's somebody here that's assaulted somebody. And they get out there, and it's Jason. And he's marked up his neck and says, somebody held a knife to my throat and told me that I better stay away from Rachelle or bad things could happen. So he says it's some guy. Well, it doesn't pass really the smell test. It doesn't pass the smell test, so they call Rachelle Waterman and they ask her some questions. And she says, I never had sex with Brian, and I never had sex with Jason. And she's not forthcoming. She does not give all the truth.
She might have not been forthcoming, but he was. You know what I mean?
But that was a good one.
That's all I wanted.
I see what you did there.
So the next morning, the troopers go in to get Jason again. And Jason says, well, I know something. He says, I know something. I say, well, what do you know? And he goes, I gave the guy that did this a ride. I said, well, what do you mean? He says, well, it's my buddy Brian, and he told me to show up at this place, and I met him in the middle of the night, and I showed up, and oh my God, there was a body in the back, and he's like, you got to help me get rid of this. And we didn't know what to do when we drove it up to the end of this logging road and set it on fire. So they said, well, would you wear a wire to talk to Brian? And he says, I'm really scared. I said, well, we'll be there. And he goes, well, I want protection. He said, we'll take care of it. And he says, okay. So they go, and he wears a wire, and he goes to talk to Brian, and he goes, man, the heat's all over everybody, and they're looking at me, and they're looking at you, and they're looking at Rachelle. And he goes, but you know that Rachelle had nothing to do with it. And Brian goes, not that I know of. And so they bring Brian in that night. And they talk to him. And they're asking him, and Brian confesses. He says, I did it. And he kind of describes things. Sergeant McPherson says, so you did this for Rachelle, hoping to get what in return? And Brian says, nothing. I didn't think I'd get anything out of it. If anything, if she ever found out about it, she would never. And Sergeant McPherson finishes, talk to you again. Okay, I don't have any more questions. So they arrest Brian. And they call Jason in the next morning. This would be the 19th. And they sweat him for a bit. They tell him, listen, it doesn't match the evidence. We know what's going on. And Jason goes, well, you got me. I was involved. But Brian did the planning, and Brian did this, and Brian did everything else. And they ask him all sorts of questions, and he goes through it, and he says, here's what's happened, and I'll give it to you. Okay, thank you. And I say, all right. And they leave. Now here's where the plot thickens, as they used to say in bad Pulp Fiction. There's an officer with the Craig Police Department named Mark Habib. He's been there for a long time. And he walks in and he starts talking to Jason. He says, Jason, I know your mom very well. Your mom has worked as a dispatcher for the Craig Police Department for the past 11 years. I've known her for 11 years. And there's no way I'm going to believe that you did this by yourself. I want you to tell me how much Rachelle was involved. Now, we've got the goods. I can't believe that you were played for a sucker. I don't know how a 16-year-old girl could manipulate two grown men into doing this, but I know that she must have, because I'm not going to believe that you just did this. That is the first time Rachelle is raised. So at that point, Jason goes, well, okay, Rachelle asked me to do it. Rachelle's the one that set all this up. She kept telling me about the problems, and then she would approve the plans, and we would talk about this with her, and we would do this, that, and the other. And she's the one. She's the one. She's the one. They talked to Brian. They talked to Brian the same day. He's in a different room. Brian, once again, he says, Rachelle never spoke to me. Sergeant McPherson says, well, Rachelle has a hand in this incident. This is after the interview with Jason. She said, do this for me. Brian says, that's what he told me. That's what Jason told me. He later says, no, she never actually gave orders that was the time to do it. She never actually said, go ahead and do this. She never approved any plans. And so they bring Rachelle in. And they say, we know that you did this. And Rachelle says, no, I didn't. They say, we know you wanted this. And she says, no, I didn't. They say, well, you know you did nothing to stop it. And she goes, no, I tried to tell him to not do it. They say, well, you knew. There's a point in that video, and I know it's going to be played, of her interview. I want you to watch carefully for that. I want you to watch very carefully at that interview for a couple of reasons. For one, they bring Rachelle in, and they sit her at a table in a very small room. And the door is closer than there, than the front of that bench. But right beside that door is Officer Habib. Right on the other side of the table, Sergeant McFerrin. And they keep telling her, we will not accept your answers. We will not accept that you had nothing to do with this. We won't accept it. They keep telling her that. They say your life is in your hands and you need to think about the future. You need to think about your jail sentences. You need to think about how you can help yourself. You need to think about what's going to happen. There's a time on that video, if you can watch it and not be moved, you're not human. There's a time on that video when they keep pointing, you knew. Sitting in that chair, huddled and crying, and barely whispering. Rachelle says, I was so scared. I was so scared. Did you know what happened on that interview on Friday night? On that interview Friday night, they told her piece by piece, by disgusting, god-awful, horrible piece, how her mom died. You see, until that time, nobody knew. Rachelle did not know. Had Lori Waterman been alive, or had she been dead? Rachelle Waterman knows her mother was in that car, and all that was left was a few pounds of burnt bone and tissue. And all Rachelle could think of is, my God, what will they do to me? And so, she stopped.
You know what's bothering me right now? They just
I'll
showed
tell you.
her, and there was no remorse.
No, I mean, she's obviously
None.
belongs in the Babysitter's Club books.
Hey, I mean, for her to sit there and wipe her face like that, like zero remorse.
Yeah.
I mean, just sitting there, stone cold. That's.
But I'll tell you
Disgusting.
one thing that's other. This guy's more animated than the other guy, but I don't
really
think
just
all
wanna
his
know-
his bolts are tightened.
No, I really want to know how much water does he have in that tiny ass cup that he keeps taking a swig out of?
It's like one of those play things, you know, when you were a kid and you had like the play bottle, you tipped it upside down and it disappears and you put it back and it fills back up.
Yeah, apparently it's one of those. Like, I'm just like, how much water do you have? All right, guys, we got like
Vodka?
yes, it would probably help him out in this case. We got about 15 more minutes.
Shvodka. Yeah.
Shvodka.
Stop saying, I told him to stop. She says, I told him I wanted my mom dead. She says, I asked them to kill my mom. And here's the plan. There's only a few problems with that. In October and November, Jason and Brian are planning this. And Brian says, all right, if we're going to do this, then let's do it and let's figure it out. I want pictures of the house. I want a diagram of the house. Have her draw me a map. Let me know about schedules. What are the types of things that she would do? What would she not do? If we're going to do it, let's do it. Now, this floor plan of the Waterman basement. This is the door that goes into the garage. This is the door that leads up the steps. Leads up into the foyer. Down here, right here, are 2 rooms. A bunk bed down here. This is sort of a rec room. A rec room that the Watermans built so that their kids' friends could come over and play. And right here is that window that I showed you. It's a window that wasn't locked very much. Rachelle never says, here's how to get into my house. She says, well, she tells the troopers, well, they knew I'd snuck in and out. But Brian says, I want to know where you went. I want to know how to get in there. I want to know what to do. But he doesn't go in that window. He comes in the garage. He comes in the garage and he goes through and he gets to this door. This is the door with the cat door. And he can't get it open. He says, well, I brought a butter knife to try and pick the lock. And ultimately he reaches in, reaches around and grabs the lock. Rachelle knew, like I said, that her mom did not like to drive. Rachelle never gave any maps. She never gave any pictures. She never gave any diagrams. She never gave any of that. Jason never got it. Brian kept saying, let's get it from Rachelle. And he never got it. He never got it. State's talked about a bunch of letters. They'll talk about a bunch of letters, and there's a few comments in there from Jason about the plan. The plan, the plan, the plan, the plan, the plan, and your mother will be gone. State doesn't mention a few other comments that are made. Jason says, 2 years isn't really that long of a time considering both of your ages. Now, there's a little bit before that, and I'm going to read you the whole thing. I'm going to tell you how it's phrased in the police reports. He says, I get overly emotional sometimes. Even I know it. I'm ruled by my emotions. The logical part of my brain is this whisper saying, it shouldn't be a problem. Your mom should be out of the way soon. Or it says 2 years isn't that long of a time to wait considering both of your ages. That's usually when emotion takes over and I stop and say, 2 years is fucking forever. See, there I go again. Deep breaths. I'll make it even if it really is going to be 2 years before we can quit hiding. I'll be broken and I'll be hurting, but I'll make it. There's only one line in that portion that's quoted in the police report. That line is, it shouldn't be a problem. Your mom will be out of the way soon. Jason later writes, I was thinking about you at work as usual. I had a full-blown emotional breakdown just totally out of the blue. I had to duck into my closet and hide for a while so nobody could see me crying. I hate that. I can only think of one person who I can really trust to see me cry, and you weren't there. So I hid. He talks about how there's a woman at work that he views as potentially flirting with him. And he talks about several different things that he could do. And he says, do I just calmly approach her and tell her flat out? Or I tell her I've got a jealous and athletic girlfriend that'll tear her spine out? Do I act as skittish so she gets the message and hold a chair up and say, maybe just roll the chair and say, hey, knock that shit off? I hope she's not one of these drastic girls. Might have to do something drastic. Grabs her by the throat. If you even think about breathing, I'll show you how fragile every last bone in the human neck really is. Too extreme? You're probably right. It's not like I would ever do something like this anyway. Lastly, he says, here I am. It's 10:43 at night. I'm baked like lasagna. I'm missing my baby. What's a guy to do? And he lists several options. I drive over and wake you up sneaking away for a late night rendezvous. Option 2, I drive over and talk to your parents, making an impassioned speech about how much I love you, and how keeping us apart now will only keep them from their grandkids or something later. Option 3, I wait and hope and pray you'll get on MSN and remind me of my come and get me fantasy. Option 4, I sit here like a dumbass and accept it's not going to happen anytime soon. The last one out there sounds really seriously sucky. And unfortunately, it's the one I got to take. Poopy. Shakes fist at the sky. Reality. You mock me with your cruel destruction of my fantasies. Reality is a bastard. I imagine that there will be some discussion of the letters. Frankly, I think you'll find that most of the letters are really just god-awful Harlequin romance reject writing. Written to a 16-year-old teenage girl that wants somebody to take her away, somebody to take her out of the small town on a remote island in Southeast Alaska, somebody that tells her fantasies about having money, buying fancy cars and nice houses on the beaches of the posh places of the world. Somebody that appears pretty good at manipulating young girls. You're going to hear in this case, you're going to hear from a couple of people. We're going to call Mr. Waterman. We're going to call Mr. Waterman to tell you about what Rachelle's life was like. Give his understanding of his daughter. You're going to hear from Brian Riddell. Brian Riddell says, you know, Jason's the only one that ever told me about this. And I asked him, why can't you just wait a couple of years? Why can't you wait a couple of years? And poor, pudgy Jason is 25 and has to date high school girls. He dropped out of the Marine Corps because he can't lose weight. Poor, pudgy Jason says, if I wait a couple of years, she might not want me anymore. She might not want me anymore. And I want her. Actually, if you read a lot of these letters, you'll see that he doesn't really want Rachelle so much as her body. A lot of them are graphic descriptions of sexual fantasies of his. There's a lot of fantasies. He fantasizes about being a part of the mafia and calling Don Corleone, I guess, to come down and tell Doc and Lori Waterman to let them date. He imagines being an angel and threatening global nuclear destruction if they can't date. He has all sorts of fantasies about how they can run away together, or he'll hire lawyers to emancipate her, or that's just a crazy scheme he talks about. What's interesting is where those letters were found. All of those letters were found on Jason's computer. A few of those letters were found in the bottom of Rachelle's locker, stuffed in with so much trash, just really didn't need to be kept, waiting for the end of the year to be thrown out. But there is another letter. There is another letter that we will discuss and that we will introduce. In that letter, some of the last words of Lori Waterman. Words written to her daughter, not typed out in a cold and personal word processor, but written by hand to my daughter. And she says, I know we've had problems. I know it. But we will get better. And we will get through this. And I know that you hear about your talented brother. And I know you hear Jeffrey. But I don't know if I've ever told you how proud your dad and I are of you. Of your music, of your singing, of what you can do. And I hope you hear not just Jeffrey, but Rachelle. Once again, Trooper Claus didn't really think that was particularly relevant. Do you know where that letter was found? That wasn't crumpled up and thrown into the bottom of a locker, not even read. Just more ramblings of an obsessed ex-boyfriend that you want to get rid of. That was found in her nightstand, right next to her bed. Right next to her bed. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you sit and you hear everything at the end of this case, you're going to realize that by and large, there are two pieces of evidence against Rachelle Waterman. There are her statements when she was sweated by the police, and there is Brian's statements. Brian, after finding all sorts of ways to try and say, look at somebody else, look at somebody else, look at somebody else, look at somebody else. Brian, Jason's statements. Jason, who's given a life rope because he happens fortuitously to be the son of the dispatcher of the Craig Police Department. There's one last point that I want to make about what the evidence in this case is going to show. And that is the hitman, Mount Bryan, the other part of this conspiracy. He looks back now. He doesn't think Jason's honest. And he says, you know, if I could have talked to Rachelle Waterman, this would have never happened. And so as you listen to this evidence, ask yourself, is Rachelle Waterman an absolutely cold-blooded, psychotic monster? Or is Rachelle Waterman a teenage girl? And as you listen to the evidence and as you put everything in context, you have to decide, what did Rachelle intend? Not know, but intend. What did she actively want, and when did she want it? And you're going to realize that for all her griping, she wants what every teenage girl wants. She wants a good relationship with her mother, who was alive and is well. And when you realize that, you're going to have the courage to come back and say, Rachelle Waterman, you are not guilty. Thank you.
Well then.
I haven't.
No, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for ending that.
I don't even know what to think about this trial. Yes, very confusing. That's just opening statements.
Well, that's the thing, is sometimes opening statements can be like that. And then you get into it, you start listening to witnesses and, other people that they call on the stand, and it starts to also actually, yes,
Kinda
sticky. Golf clap.
Yeah, golf clap. And everything kind of starts to unravel after the opening statements.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
So tomorrow we're gonna get into Miss Bush.
I'm sorry, what?
You heard what I said. I'm not saying it again.
One more time? What was that?
Miss Bush. And
Here we go around the mulberry bush. Sorry.
which is a friend of Lori. She's gonna take a stand, and then she's gonna be followed by Scott McDonald, who was the one who found the vehicle. And
Not to be confused with Ronald McDonald, Flashman.
Yeah, that's, you're just gonna make him hungry. And then
He already is, trust me.
I'm sure. And then we'll get into Rachelle Waterman's father is actually going to take the stand. So that should be interesting.
Oh,
And then-
Doc?
Yeah.
Nice. Yes, someone said Bush.
I said Bush. Bush Light.
Bush Light. We're not sponsored by Bush Light.
We are not sponsored by Bush Light. We do have to say that. And then, because these are like 40 minutes long, 50, 30. So we'll play a couple of them tomorrow. Honestly, that will be up to my mom on how many she wants to play. I have no idea how many she's going to do. But tomorrow we will be back. I'm not even looking at the chat.
Her first name is Winter.
I'm not looking at the chat.
Winter Bush. I wasn't listening. Did I hear Bush? I'm sorry. They sponsored by Budweiser. No, we ain't.
Budweiser.
Budweiser. Peace out, Heidel Scout.
But anyways, we will be back on regular streaming time tomorrow. I always stream an hour earlier than my mom does. So tomorrow it will be back to what time
6
you guys
p.m.
do?
Eastern.
Yeah, 6 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Central time, 4 p.m. Mountain time, whatever the hell it is in California. I still haven't got
Jenny
that one down.
Firecrotch time.
And then 10 a.m. the following day in Antarctica, and then 69, someone vagina is burning. What the hell is that?
It's like, hey now, my wife is a ginger.
Well, and,
Oh, I love it.
3 p. Don't make me say that.
What,
3
Pacific?
p.m. Pacific time.
3 p.m. specific time.
I'm just gonna, you know what? June, I know what you mean, but this is what I'm gonna say. 3 p.m. time.
Oh my god, that was the best. 3 p.m. time.
That's what I'm gonna start calling that because I can't ever remember. And I hate trying to pronounce that because my partner makes fun of me. So I just,
Oh my god,
so
that was so funny.
it's, so it is 6 p.m. Eastern time,
Paschetti.
5 p.m. Central time, 4 p.m. Mountain time, and then 3 p.m. time.
And then you gotta put in north side time for your mom. What about corn time?
So that just kind of grows on its own.
The
and so
corn
it makes
time?
its-
I believe it.
Yeah, it just makes
Yeah.
its own time.
Yeah. Tell your cat I said 3 p.m. time.
I don't even know where he went. Like he was all up in
3
my
p.m.
business. Yeah.
Frank's gonna be mad he missed that.
But
Oh,
thank you all so much for hanging out.
that's
Again,
hilarious.
we will be an hour later than what the past 2 days have been.
2 p.m. Ha!
Yeah, it's either 3 p.m. time or it's 2 p.m. ha time. Whichever you're in, whatever time zone you're in.
They make Vaseline for that? Is that what he's saying? Oh, Vagisil?
Yeah, they make. I'm just telling you, 69 volcano, something's burning. Please go see a doctor. I don't think Vagisil's really helping that one.
Is Megan live right now?
Who the hell is Megan?
Meg.
I don't know. I'm not redirecting to anybody tonight. I'm not doing that.
3 p.m. 3 p.m. Psst, 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 psst. Meow time. Ash.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't understand it's too early, but I gotta.
Every time is fart time.
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, we got spark plugs in this. We talked about spark plugs, butt plugs,
Vagisil is flammable. Thank you.
and then we got that one. So just so you guys know, Vagisil is flammable. Don't do that.
Oh my god.
I'm ending this.
3 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah. I'm ending this. So, all right. you guys have a
Smello
good night.
version. Peace out, Cub Scouts. Keep it real.
If you guys are bored, you want to come hang out with us in Discord, I'm sure we'll be over there.
We'll be on Discord.
Yep, we go over there. We have a really good time. I don't have to filter myself as much as I have to do here, just to not because it's my mom's stream, but because of YouTube. YouTube Daddy, he gets on his period sometimes, and you know, like
Yeah.
when I say some shit.
Come join the Discord.
But yeah, if you guys want to come over there, come hang out with us in Discord. We have a really good time over there. We talk a lot of shit
Night,
to one
night,
another.
Heedle.
But other than that, y'all have a great night. I have to remember how to end this.
What time is it now? Or my Gabby time? I'm East Coast. 8:05 p.m.
It's seriously 8 o'clock there? What the fuck?
8:05 p.m.
Ew. All right. Bye.
Peace.
Hot mannequin love is kinda uncanny. Click, like, subscribe, ooh, piece of candy. Looking for my spotlight, chasing my vibe. Still looking for my credibility online. Ooh, hot mannequin love, candy on the floor, don't pick it up. Chasing all the clicks, chasing all the views. Credibility's hiding, but I'm bringing you the news. Every little scroll is a mystery, but you stuck around, watch the show with me. Laughs and chaos, that's how we roll. Drop a comment down below before you go. Every little scroll is a mystery, but you stuck around, watch the show with me. Laughs and chaos, that's how we roll. Drop a comment down below before you go.